Oh, like it's working.
It's working.
I
It's
didn't.
working.
Hey, I didn't get retweeted by Jim. What the hell?
It takes it a
I,
second to pull.
it's my auto host.
Does
Like, oh, I know why. It's because your Discord tag does not show that you're streaming.
huh?
Have to go into user settings. Where is it? Games. Display current running game as a status message, and or I think have streamer mode enabled, and
Yep.
it should, yeah, tag you, and then yeah, Jim got you.
Did it work?
Yes,
Okay, that just took a really long time.
yeah. There's a delay as it, I'm sure, scrapes Twitch for all the information.
All right, it's the FUN-GINEERS FUNCAST. Do.
It's happening.
Look at that! Look at that quality title card. I just need Frothy to make us a better one.
Kleiner to make us some music,
I was thinking about that the other day.
or
Actually.
or I guess like just use the Stack Thief theme.
Actually, that wouldn't be half bad.
That's true. That's a good one too. All right. Hello, everyone. This
Hello.
is the FUN-GINEERS live chat podcast. It's our first time we're doing it. It's gonna be fun times. We only have 3 FUN-GINEERS today. Hopefully, we'll have other FUN-GINEERS. We're a gaming community that's been around since Steam's been around in 2006, and yeah, this is the renaissance of the FUN-GINEERS. Get ready to see more of us. I hope. My name is Mr. Android. I'm a gameplay programmer. I make games. I love games. I play games, and I like talking about them. Who else is on the panel today?
Hello, my name's Discount Llama. Call me Daniel if you want to be like weird. I fix treadmills for a living right now, but mostly I play video games. It's pretty good.
That's cool.
And hello, I'm Burnout. I'm the one hosting this stream right now. I like to play video games, and so do you. I'm going to school right now to make video games, so that's kind of cool. I used to work at Razer. That's kind of relevant, right? That's why I got all this sweet Razer branded swag in front of me.
I've heard of Razer. This
Yeah.
is not Razer sponsored.
I wish it was Razer sponsored. I could totally use some new mice feet or like
You
a
know,
phone.
if this thing takes off, I know some guys. I know all of the guys.
Razer seems to make a ton of peripherals too. It
They make
always
everything now.
amazes me.
They make laptops. They make a phone,
They
like a good phone too.
they make
From what-
watches. They make.
Do they make
I-
gaming chairs yet?
I have one of their watches somewhere.
There have been some prototype DX racers with the Razer logo, but I don't think anything ever came to fruition on that.
Is that a
I got
Razer
the-
watch?
Hey,
I got this thing. I got this for free for ordering like my mouse because it was Boxing Day.
those things are just okay.
Yeah, they're just
Nice.
okay. I've had trouble syncing it with my phone since I got it, but that's
I
Not
might be a little
important
bit
right now.
biased because I worked for the support, so I only saw broken stuff. But
hey, it's okay. That's like me. I only ever see fitness equipment when it's busted.
so
That's
fitness
true.
equipment sucks.
Yeah, all of it.
I only
Especially
see my
especially
deals
ellipticals.
busted.
Ellipticals suck.
Do they? They're my favorite thing to do at the gym, though.
Okay, so mostly it's because ellipticals have so many moving parts and so many pivots that like when something breaks and you need to get at it, you need to take apart like 5 different things to get to the right pivot because it's all stuck together.
Gross.
I don't like them.
So that sounds terrible. But discount. What did you play this week?
So speaking of sort of terrible, I was playing. What is it? Let me pull up the correct full name. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory, which is a sort of sequel, side story to Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, which was a Vita game. Also came out for I think the PS3 and the PS4. In a lot of ways, it's basically Persona Light. Like they don't have the budget to hit the production quality or the art style
Yeah.
or the humor or the writing or the battle system, but like they kind of do it, and it's Digimon, so it's kind of okay. I don't know. It's fun, I guess.
Yeah,
Or I guess fun. I guess is kind of too harsh. It's enjoyable. It's like a solid 6.5, 7 out of 10 if you want to score it.
What system were you playing that on?
PS4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's funny. We were at Walmart, bought store shelf. This game's real. This guy didn't have to like buy it from hand. Play it.
You're cutting out a little bit on me.
I was trying to set up not push to talk.
And you're probably just too far away. Look at us.
We're gonna
off to a rousing start.
How's that? Is that better? I turned down the sensitivity. Hello?
Autofocus. Hello, yes, hi.
Does that work?
Yeah, I think you were just like way back.
Well, my input sensitivity was really low. Or really
now we're
high.
doing-
So now it should be better. But it will probably be on the whole time now.
Yeah. Just don't like start like kicking your cats or something over there.
I'll try. No promises. Anyways, yeah, I saw that game in real life and it was weird. I've never heard of it until I saw you play it yesterday.
It's so like it does a lot of things that are like conceptually kind of interesting, like the way it's like a Pokemon style or a mainline Shin Megami Tensei where you have your monsters and then they evolve, but like the way you evolve them, it's like a giant branching tree.
Right.
And like some of the branches and all the branches have different stat requirements depending on which branch you want to go down. And a lot of times you can't hit the stat requirements because the Digimon you're at has the first time through has like a level cap, or like you just are never good because it's like, oh, it needs to be level 16 and it caps out at level 12. So you digivolve it into something you don't want, and then you de-digivolve it back. And then when you go back, the new monster has a higher level cap. And also gains like ability points and friendship, which lets it increase its stat growth goes up. So now you can hit those other targets.
Sounds really confusing, actually.
It kind of is.
Along with like tech tree of Digimon. I got it.
Yeah. And then
you go down the tree, but then you have to go up and down the tree.
Yeah, you can go back and forth basically whenever you hit. Like you can go back whenever you want. To go forward, you have to hit the level and stat caps.
Yeah.
So basically what it means is like you're doing a lot of like grinding.
Right. Gross.
And then if you want to, like, oh, this thing's at the right level, but it needs more intelligence stats, I can put it in the Digi Bank at the Digi Farm and run training missions that increase stats but decrease friendship, and then bring it back. And it's just like it's designed to like you just grind at it. You turn the wheel, you turn the crank for hours.
So the funnest part is the spreadsheet aspect of it.
It is weirdly enjoyable because there's like hundreds of these friggin' things, and like as somebody that has not followed Digimon since the first series, it's like here's a million things I've never seen before, and Digimon's gotten real weird.
I don't know, man. It sounds intense.
One of my Digimon is like a really Japanese young girl who's dressed like kind of like a nun, and she has 2 pistols, and she's just like doing gun kata, and I don't know what Digimon is anymore.
It's true. Bernard, have you ever heard of Hatsune Miku?
I have.
That's what it looked like. Hatsune Miku with guns, the Digimon.
It was. I don't know. I like the game. It's weird since this one's a side story. It's like literally the same events as the first game. Like you're doing the same story, except it's different set of characters because it's like concurrent or whatever. So mostly it's like I vaguely remember doing this in the first game when I was playing it on my Vita, and it's especially weird because you can import your Vita save and that gives you some bonus stuff, but it also carries over your playtime from the first game, but nothing like else progress-wise. So I started the new game, brand new game, first save, playtime, 45 hours. Okay, great, thanks.
Why? Why would you save that?
I don't know. I have literally no idea.
Bernard, what did you play last week?
I've been playing a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on the Switch.
Well, the new one?
Yeah.
That's like just came out, didn't it?
It came out, I think, December or something.
Yeah,
Very
like
slow
or like
moving.
late November.
Late November. I just
Didn't
picked it
Xenoblade
up
Chronicles
like a month
1
ago.
also come out on the Switch? Like a
No.
year ago?
It
That was the Wii U.
came out on the Wii U. Yeah.
The original
Or the
Xenoblade
Wii.
Chronicles came out on the Wii way back
And then
in
it
the
got
day.
a 3DS enhanced, like a new 3DS port, right?
Yeah, re-released, but on new 3DS only. It's one of only like 2 titles that's new 3DS only.
Okay.
In 2015, we got Xenoblade Chronicles X or Cross for Wii U, which is
great. has probably my favorite. And by favorite, I mean like it's a terrible song, but it's catchy because you hear it forever. It is the best town theme in the universe.
I missed out on that one, but my brother played it, and I guess it was okay. He never finished it, so...
It's very similar to 2, but like, you know, like 2 improves because it's a sequel and they learn stuff. But like, since it takes place in like space on another planet and you're all androids, you can jump like 70 feet in the air just all the time. Everything is moon gravity. It's amazing for exploring the world. And then eventually you get to pilot giant mecha that are even taller and can like when you get in the mecha in X, like because you're so much bigger, all the small enemies and stuff just vanish. So you only ever fight the big enemies.
That sounds nice.
Does that happen in 2, or you're not that far yet to mecha stomp things?
I don't know. Minor spoilers, but I'm getting close to the end. I feel like, and I didn't get to personally pilot a mech, but a mech has been introduced into the game. And
so like which chapter or whatever are you at?
I'm in chapter 8.
Okay, I think I'm in about the same place. Did you get the upgraded Robo-Maid?
Yes, that was like chapter 4 or something though.
Was it?
Yeah,
you're so behind.
when you go to the factory and you get Poppy
2. I don't know. That might have actually happened a while ago. I'm like, I don't know, like 40 hours in that game. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like what's happening, what's going on, how any of the systems work.
I'm like 70 hours into it, and I'm just starting to learn some of the systems and how they interact with each other. I
don't know what half the systems, how they work, the fine details. I'm sure there's like a game fact out there that's just like, hey, here's how to min-max the shit out of this game, because it's one of those JRPGs where if you want to, you can just... Yeah, I'm sure there's a way to just break it.
They came out with a big patch recently, though, like a week or 2 ago, that included, among other things, an easier combat mode, which I opted to lower the combat difficulty just because I want to get through the game, because it's a JRPG, and I don't want to hit a grinding wall like most JRPGs.
Yep.
So far,
and also the combat in that game being like sort of live action with like actions that charge up. It's like there's so much just like... None of these battles are just, you can just like mash X or whatever, confirm to just go through like Final Fantasy 7 or something. You have to like do stuff. Yeah. You have to combo, you have to set up. It's like, I also like the game a lot, but like, God, it's such a process.
FF12 felt like that at times, where there was like this whole timer aspect to it. There was all this delay to everything. The fights would really like drag on.
The new HD release of it has like an built-in... Cool. Has like a built-in 8 times speed option.
Yeah. I heard about that. I want to play that.
Which is like, okay, yep.
Yeah,
I mean, at that point, it's like, really cool. I should just, like, somebody should just write a bot that just plays the game, right? You just run it like a screensaver.
Yeah.
I guess.
But anyways, that game's fun, and I'm really enjoying the story, and other than that, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, that's the thing we do sometimes on PC. Trying to get all of you fools onto H1Z1 Auto Royale now that that's a thing. I think you might enjoy that, Android. Hold on. Hear me out.
It's Mad Max.
It's Mad Max. It's a Battle Royale game, but you're always a team of 4, and you're in a car. And that's it. You're stuck in the car. You gotta drive around and shoot at each other.
And there's like ramps and jump pads, and to get items, to like loot items, like more ammo and guns, everybody like leans out of the car and just fucking shoots giant boxes.
And remember Twisted Metal? We should make that. It's a Battle Royale game.
It's that, but like
basically
better, because Twisted Metal is kind of a bad game, but that's just me.
And you might be thinking like
kind of a bad game.
You might think if you're the driver, it's like, oh, I don't get to hang out of the window and shoot the guns. But as the driver, you get like smoke screens and mines and jumps.
You get spy hunter stuff.
Yeah, you basically
slicks.
Yeah,
you could probably get Frothy to play that pretty easy too.
And you can also like hit like Control G to just like give up the driver's seat if somebody else wants to take it.
So you can't leave the car at all. No one can.
Nope.
Wow.
If your character dies, you respawn in the car, back in your seat.
Yeah, you die for a minute and then you come back. And unless they blow up the car, then you're out.
So like weirdly, it's kind of like naval combat, where it's like you have 4 guns and you just want to like position yourself to shoot all of you to unload on the enemy, but then also the driver's trying to dodge. It's like it's cool.
Oh yeah. Speaking of naval combat, we all spent our whole weekend playing Sea of Thieves too. That was fun.
I was going to
That
talk
game
about that
is
later, but
yeah,
we can talk about it now if you'd like.
Well,
That
hold on.
game-
We could save
Go
it.
ahead.
Android, what have you been playing this week? Let's go back to you.
I have been playing Stellaris a lot because they updated that recently to this big patch where they introduced a whole bunch of new concepts to the game. Able to blow up planets, which is neat. That's their big tagline, like video trailer. But I've been trying out that whole system, and that game, I don't know, something about 4X games or Civ games or strategy games. I really enjoy them. But then you beat it once and you never want to play it again.
Yep.
That's always the problem
yeah.
I have with those.
For me, especially with Stellaris, the problem is like it's the same with me with Total War. Is you get to this point where like,
You know, you're
okay, I've beaten the second largest empire, and this game is essentially won. I just don't want to spend like 6 hours finishing it.
Yeah.
'Cause
Or you do
it's busy.
spend the 6 hours to finish it once, and then you never want to do it again.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, yeah, I don't care anymore.
I played Civ 5 a lot, and I played Civ 6 a lot. Not recently, but I mean, those games you play, and then you reach a certain point where you're like, this strategy always works. It doesn't matter who you are, and then it doesn't feel as great playing it.
I think, like, at least in Stellaris' case, the stuff like the events and the end game crisis at least alleviates some of that issue where it's like, well, at least something new and strange and different is going to happen, like something's going to upset the order of the game.
Yeah, and then there's supposed to be some multiplayer aspect that we were going to do. Some FUN-GINEERS play it together.
At some point, yeah.
Some point with the new update. That would be fun. Maybe we'll stream that.
Yeah,
That
because
would be interesting.
This might be my chance to finally play that game. I see you guys talking about it all
You
the
should.
time. Still
It's
haven't
a
picked it up.
really
It's really
good
fun.
It's a really good one of these games. Like, it's a 4X game that's very accessible because it's like pausable real time.
Right.
So you can just kind of do your own thing.
And there's no pressure too on
Yeah.
like turn-based multiplayer. So like if you play Civ with other people, you feel pressured into being like, I gotta finish my turn so other people can keep playing. But because it keeps going, you can just do nothing for 100 years because you don't know what you're doing. But other people are still playing, so it, you know, you're not slowing anyone.
This is
down.
why turn-based strategy games should all have play by email.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
If you want,
Old school.
yeah, because then you just play on your own time. It's great. You can have 40 games going at once.
I think Civ 4 was the last Civ to support that, and it felt really out of place even in Civ 4.
Age of Wonders 3, which I think came out in like 2015, has play by email because that was a staple of the series.
Play by snail mail. You have to type in the state of the game with a special code, special string.
It's like a load. It's like a state load. That's you just put in the characters and it generates the game from that.
Gross. Other than that, I've been playing Monster Hunter a bit. Monster Hunter World's very good.
I can't wait for that game to come out.
I know. It's so good.
Those of us with this insider early access track.
I think it plays really well on the PlayStation, although, and I think Discount agrees, is that the loading times are ridiculous.
Oh my god!
I just
There's
don't
so
wanna-
many times where it feels like the game's frozen because it's sitting on the loading screen.
I just don't want to pay for PlayStation Plus. Otherwise, I might have already been playing.
Completely understandable. I think the only
It's
reason
great
I'm
that I'm paying for it.
I started paying for PlayStation Plus because like for a hot minute, me Frothy and I think Matthias were all playing Everybody's Golf
Yeah.
for a hot minute there. That
them
was
too, yeah.
pretty fun.
I got it for Destiny 2, and before we get into other stuff, I'll just say Destiny 2 is not a good game. That's my true feelings about it.
See, that came out on PC. I also waited for that one to really come out, and I've been kind of having fun.
Yeah,
I mean-
but if you go back and play Guild Wars 2, then you would go back and enjoy Destiny 2 probably for the same reasons. You can just jump in and start playing and do the same things that you were doing before you left. I just think the progression is terrible.
Haven't
That's
gotten
how
into
I
any
felt
like
about
serious
first.
progression, so I don't know what the raid
Right.
content and stuff is, but
Exactly.
Like
I'm
that's
having
very
fun.
similar to how I felt about the first. Like, well, the first game, the first Destiny, had its own set of like real fucked up problems because that game was like never finished. Right. Like it had like 8 years of development hell. They threw out the game twice and whatever. So like, I don't think I ever hit max level in the first Destiny.
Yeah.
Partially because the way it presented the story and the lore was just like incomprehensible. I played that game for like till like level 17. I had no idea what the story was.
Wasn't that the
sort of
joke?
know what it is in Destiny 2.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
So like, and then I
Eight
played
billion.
that beta for Destiny 2, and I'm like, oh, this is Destiny 1 again. Okay, I know what this is, so I can probably give it a pass because
I guess that's what it is because I didn't play the first one, so to me it was all fresh and new.
For a game that like is like MMO style, Borderlands-y, Diablo kind of stuff, like it just doesn't have stuff.
I did like it more than Borderlands, but it also felt very, I don't know, without a compelling story and a compelling like reason to grind out advancement in eye levels. I forget what they call it, light or whatever.
Light levels.
Or I think in Destiny 2, it's like something different. I think.
Power.
Yeah, same, whatever.
Same difference.
But like in Final Fantasy, to me, like the reason that always progressed was they were releasing brand new fights every like 3.5 months or whatever. You'd have to be at max level to beat them.
I think
by
that's
the time you beat the last one, the new stuff would be coming out. So you just always had new fights to be doing.
Yep.
For Destiny's like, here's
yeah.
a raid. That's the raid for a year. Enjoy it. It's like,
yeah, that's like, I mean, that's the flexibility, I guess, offered by having your game's income derived from monthly subscription.
Right.
Like you constantly have a cash flow to be able to budget and afford and develop new stuff constantly. Whereas like with Destiny 1, it was like, hey guys, we have a live content team, but in order to fund that, we're going to sell you dances in the in-game store.
Yeah.
And like, well, I like that would work in like a free-to-play game. Have a cash store of cosmetics, look at like Path of Exile. But
horse armor.
Yeah.
More horse armor.
And like do the Carlton and the Thriller dance and the Hotline Bling, all your standard video game emotes. But like Destiny 2, it's like, okay, no, we fixed it. We're going to be producing content a lot, and then it's the same as Destiny 1. There's just like nothing happening.
But I mean,
or at least as an outside observer, I don't know. I haven't played.
I mean, I haven't hit the end of the content, so I don't know. I'm not getting content starved right now. But even if I were, I feel like I'm having a lot of fun with the PvP. For being a game that's Borderlands Halo, the PvP is just, for me, Halo on PC.
Yeah,
which is kind of nice.
Right.
The power of Bungie.
I'm not a PvPer, and I tried it a few times. Couldn't get into it. So I could definitely see that. I also liked how they handled PvP advancement. I think you can advance through both at the same time, right? Like, I don't think your power level affects your PvP power level.
No, they level everybody off.
But I think you can get PvE levels through PvP, I think.
I don't know. I think I hit max level before I really started dabbling in the PvP, so I wouldn't know.
They also have PvP, like, they're not called loot boxes, but there's like the things you can open and you get stuff in them.
Yeah,
they're loot boxes.
It's just weekly rewards, basically, and for doing PvP.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that they're sort of integrated, so you can do both to help out either or.
But yeah, it's also not my only game, so I only like play it a couple hours a week, and then I go play other stuff. So I guess.
Yeah, I think it's like if it was a game you tried to play, like people play a regular MMO, you'd hit that content wall like immediately.
Right.
Yeah. If you were playing it like 12 hours a day, like the height of like World of Warcraft or something, you'd run out of stuff to do in like 3 days.
Yeah. That's the thing too, is the 8-person raids. I know the raids in this game are 6 people, right? But I don't think we ever had 6 FUN-GINEERS that were like committed to raiding, so it's hard for me to advance up to that tier without the number of players required. Because then I just like, what's the point? I don't want to play with random people.
I don't know. Do you have it on PC or just on PS4 right now?
Just on PS4, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, I've started playing it now, and I know Digi's there. Plus, Kleiner's got a copy whenever he fixes his computer.
Yeah.
When and if.
When and if. That's...
Yeah.
Someday he'll get around to it.
All right, so that's what we played this week. Digimon.
Mostly, yeah.
Xenoblade,
and PUBG, and H1Z1 Cars. Was that out yet, or have you tried it?
Yes.
Okay, so it's out, and you did play it.
I mean, so H1Z1 did a weird thing where they're like, hey, we're done with like beta early access, we're out. And then like a week later, after like it was out, you could spend money on the full version of the game. Like a week later, they're like, oh yeah, it's free to play now, by the way.
Yeah. Which
BTW, it's free to play now.
Which is fun because when the Auto Royale thing came out, Lowsound and I were playing it for a little bit, and we're like, "Hey, everybody, this is actually really fun. And it's only $20. You should all play it." And everybody's like, "No, $20. It's dumb." And then a week later, they're like, "It's free."
Yay!
By the way,
Well,
There
if
are
it's free,
these
actually,
other-
that is a lot more enticing. You didn't mention that earlier.
Yeah, no, it's free
Describing
now,
it.
which is good because first
Because that's it
PUBG,
worked for Fortnite.
yeah, because first PUBG, then Fortnite just ate the lunch of H1Z1 because for a very long time it was the only real like standalone battle royale game,
Yeah.
and then PUBG came out and just like shit all over. Well, partially it was that, and partially that like H1Z1 the devs did like stuff. I've watched a bunch of that game, but
Yeah.
they've had a rough go of it.
Real quick, Losan wants to know if we're all wearing the same headphones. We're gonna do a quick tech talk. Are we all wearing Sennheiser headphones? Yes, we are. All right, 3 different models, but they are all the same brand.
Where's the badge on these?
Actually, I
Oh,
don't
right. It's like inside the headband.
What are those 590s? I've got 518s.
Oh shit! My camera. Headphones are too good.
Zoom. What does it say? Focus. Focus. 598.
There we go.
I guess
I don't know what it
I'm on the scrub tier. You both got 590s. I've got 518s.
That's okay.
I found my camera. So for a very long time, I was using I think like 555s or 558s. I think they were.
Mm-hmm.
And then those eventually just kind of like died, like the plastic up here just like cracked away, and one headphone just fell off.
Wow.
It's like that's not great.
My normal pair.
Electronics for a long time. I don't know where they are right now.
Yeah, I had ones like those. The
AKGs. See, I normally
Yeah.
wear these, but then I spotted you guys both wearing Sennheisers today, so I had to switch.
I was
We're not
using, like,
sponsored by
AKG.
Sennheiser, but again,
but if yeah,
But we are sponsored by Razer. Someday soon, maybe.
unofficially,
We'll see.
hey, if Sennheiser wants to send us headphones,
I'll take it.
we're unofficially
I wouldn't say
sponsored
no.
by Sennheiser, Razer, and white walls. Get a white wall in your house today.
I mean, white walls work really well for you because you can like blend in if you get broken in on.
Look at that.
Camouflage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mine, it's weird. The gray, like I got my room painted. I used to be more of like a denim blue. This gray looks way more gray on camera than it does to me in person. Like in person, it looks more blue than gray, but that's probably
Yeah.
just my eyes being broken.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to now the core. That took like 30 minutes, which was interesting, but it was fun to talk about things we played and sort of go off topic. I just want to say, as the podcast / chat FUN-GINEER experience continues, we'll refine it and figure out what we're doing.
I mean, or not. Who knows?
Who knows?
This might just turn into FUN-GINEERS ramble for 2 hours. Who knows what happens?
I mean, hey, some podcasts just do that. People dig
What
it.
the audience desires.
Bill Burr's entire podcasting thing is based on that premise. He does pretty well.
But oh, that was weird. I just switched to Twitch and then the echo of the delay. But anyways, so moving on to console game news. Last week, a little over last week, the Nintendo Direct happened. A lot of stuff announced. It was interesting.
lot.
It was fun. Do they always do Nintendo Direct in March? It's like
So,
twice a year.
like infrequently, they do Nintendo Directs, but like generally the Directs before E3 tend to be like smaller and be like, hey, here's the stuff that's releasing in the next 2 months. They don't quite tend to be like this one. This one was larger than expected. This was
Yeah, the whole thing with a Nintendo Direct is it derived from a couple years ago when Nintendo stopped doing a lot of big releases, and they even like didn't even show up to E3 one of the years. And
yeah,
they
and it's
started
like, hey, here's our Direct.
they're like, hey, if we just stream it directly to people, then we don't have to do anything. And then they
Don't have
started
to pay money for a conference hall.
And then they started releasing them more frequently. Like, we get directs once every month or two now. Sometimes small
Yeah.
ones.
What was the last one? When was the last one? Does anyone know?
I want to say the last Direct was in November.
Wasn't there one mid-February when they announced the Luigi Balloon stuff? Wasn't that
Maybe.
part of
There
it?
might have been a mini Direct then.
Yeah,
You might be
they,
right.
they do these mini directs, and just when they have something to announce, they cram a couple things together and just have a direct.
Yep.
Oh, you're right. It was January.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was called a Nintendo Direct Mini.
Yes.
In quotes.
Yes, that's what it says.
Beautiful.
And then before that was November. and then
Okay. We were both right.
October. So it's completely random, it seems.
Yeah, I guess it's whenever they just have stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, smart. Like, and it's not even all the time. Like, it's not even like when we have our stuff. It's like when you think about Nintendo putting out a thing to talk about stuff, you expect it to be like, oh, Nintendo wants to talk about Nintendo games. A lot of times it's like now with the Switch, it's Nintendo wants to talk about just games, which
But
is really cool.
Seems like so there's like official directs and then there's like themed directs, and so the last official one was in September. So it looks like it is about just every 6 months they'll do like a bigger one. Last year's was in April apparently. So I guess we can expect Nintendo Direct like big ones every 6 months.
Which one was the cardboard stuff announced in? Was that in January?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, that feels like way longer ago than a couple months.
Nintendo Labo, which we just got more information about recently.
We did. But that wasn't in the Nintendo Direct.
Which is weird because that's coming up soon. You think if they had stuff to announce,
I bet you there's going to be like the booth at E3 is going to have a build your Labo section.
I hope it does.
I saw that whole thing about how you can program your own, like using their dev kit.
God, Labo looks like
interesting.
It's the most Nintendo thing, right?
It
it's like here's something crazy that super unique way to use our unique weird hardware.
Yes,
and it's so smart. It's like and like everybody who doesn't like building stuff, right? Like that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And this is. And then you can like actually use the thing.
Is it a huge risk though? Because it's all like do-it-yourself cardboard stuff. Just funny because I heard over on a Giant Bomb podcast or something, they're comparing it to Activision with all the Rock Band or Guitar Hero stuff, and they're like, oh yeah. So if you wanted to play their silly game, you had this giant plastic peripheral that's just taking up space in your closet now, or filling up landfills.
And here you can. Throw it in recycling.
Yeah, or you can modify it and make it different, or you can.
Or you're gonna be seeing like the craziest like Tumblr DIY blogs and stuff, just like building their own like crazy Labo constructions, homemade like Gundam suits. For that robot game. Yeah.
Any hardware, anything is a risk inherently. Just if you're adding hardware of any kind, I know they're cardboard, so it's like disposable. Yeah. But I think when you're dealing with peripherals, and there's this whole baggage associated with it, where people are reluctant. But I think people are really excited about Labo because of its cardboard and its accessibility.
Yeah,
it'll be the most expensive cardboard you ever buy. But
well, is it?
I mean, pretty excited about it.
Well, it's actually still pretty expensive. I can say it's $70.
I mean, it is coming with software.
$70,
if you consider the software $60, that's still $10 for a bunch of cardboard. Is a little.
I mean, they are going to be putting out like the blueprints for the stuff. So if you have,
I heard about that actually,
or whatever, you can just.
You can make it yourself if you have the materials.
Find the software secondhand, because I'm sure a lot of that stuff's going to end up at like
get it at GameStop,
big box stores, GameStop, whatever. Real soon.
They're selling them separately too, right? It's not like you buy the Labo and it's all the cardboard things. I
don't know, because like some of that stuff, like the robot, there's like gears and pulleys and elastic bands and strings and shit.
All I've heard is there's two different kits. One of them is $70 that comes with most of the toys and some software, and there's a separate one that's $80 and it's just the giant robot game with the robot suit.
Which, I'm surprised that the software isn't all included. Like it's just
it's still game. Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo still doesn't do everything the best way.
I mean, if you look at it, I think the one collection set is just like a mini game, and the robot one is going to be a full-sized robot game. So it's like
like an actual full-length game.
Like the other one's the one with it's like the racing cars, the piano,
right, and the fishing, and the house
fishing
and whatever.
Yeah,
I do say when I see that, I get a very strong 1-2 Switch vibe, and I don't know how successful that game was.
Probably not very, but
I know people are upset that wasn't bundled in.
I think like the reasoning.
Was bundled.
This is like so far up, but anyway, it's still Nintendo Direct talk, I guess. But like, I think the main reason it wasn't the build-ins because they didn't want to teach people being like, "Hey, this is our system."
Right.
Right. Like it's just more waggle, like different waggle. But more waggle. Yeah. And I guess they didn't want to put the foot forward, hey, our new thing is more of the Wii.
Yeah. I got a copy of it because I got a bunch of friends who like to drink and play stupid games, but I don't think it was actually worth the $50. I've had fun with
the
it.
price.
Yeah.
It being bundled in or not is one discussion. The price of that thing, I think, is universally agreed to be a little high.
Oh yeah, even if it wasn't bundled in, it should be like 20 or 30. Yeah.
What was Wii Arcade when that came out? That was like the what's it called? The sister game of Wii Sports. where they
Wii
added
Play?
more stuff. Oh, Wii Play. That's what it was called. Thank you.
I even think that one was only like 40 when it came out.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I can look that up. No, I can't.
I'm sure Googling Wii Play is a very specific. Google knows exactly what to bring you.
According to GameStop, it's $5. I'm going to assume that was its release price. So, by comparison, 10,000% increase in price. I don't know. It seems expensive. All right. So, but Labo wasn't announced at Direct. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm still looking to see what people do with it. I think it's going to be really fun for kids to play with. I think it'll be fun with adults to play with, and then
For kids and kids at heart,
Yeah, exactly.
much like Lego.
You know what was announced at Direct though?
What was announced? Burnout.
Dark Souls
Motherfucking Detective Pikachu.
Okay,
Heyo.
yeah.
Yes. Detective Pikachu.
The
That
one
thing
game.
amiibo.
The more I see about this game, the more I want to play this game.
Right?
I want to
It's
play it for
so
the voice
weird.
alone. The
It's
voice of Pikachu alone.
Yes.
so weird. Oh my god.
I'm also a huge Phoenix Wright fan. I love all the Phoenix Wright games. If it's anything like Phoenix Wright, and it looks like it is.
It
or it's,
looks like it is.
silly, But
But
Yeah.
Pikachu, yeah, it's a weird thing.
it looks like it could be pretty funny. I don't know. It's definitely the most 3DS-like game that's going to be on the Switch, which I think is really interesting.
It's not on the Switch. It's 3DS.
Oh, it is a 3DS.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense because it's a very 3DS game.
Yeah. Which
Also,
means-
there's a friggin' Detective Pikachu amiibo,
Yes, there is.
Yeah, I saw that.
and like this and the friggin' Praise the Sun Solaire Dark Soul amiibo. It's like, am I gonna have to start buying amiibo now?
I
Is
have
this
that on
is
my
what's
notes,
gonna
too.
happen?
We always
It's like-
buy them in huge batches. We haven't bought any in a while. Our last ones were the Zelda ones, the Breath of the Wild, the big robot, and the Zelda one. But I want the Breath of the Wild, the 4 companions, and there's a bunch of other ones we're missing.
So those like disappeared so fast. I haven't been able to find them. But luckily, my brother has them, so I just like went over to his house and tapped them real quick and got all the exclusive stuff.
We got a bunch of the cards too. My girlfriend and she got them online, so you can do the like.
The tags that you can just program.
I
Or
don't know
yeah,
if they were programmed or they were legit tags. I think they were legit ones, but
I got a stack of blank tags, and because I was frustrated with the amiibo scarcity, and I just copied a couple amiibos for me to use.
we
It's
have
crazy
all
to
of
me that like, despite every phone in the world having NFC, there's like
Yeah.
actual literal hardware reasons that like
Yeah.
That you can't just
you
tap
can't
your
just
phone.
spoof them on with your phone. Like that blows my mind that these NFC chips are built that way.
They knew it
yeah.
in advance. Oh my god.
But yeah, the Nintendo Direct started off with a bunch of 3DS stuff first, and it kind of worked towards all the bigger Switch things. Another one I want to note on 3DS coming out is WarioWare. I don't know if you guys are fans of the series.
biggest
I'm a fan of the
One of
series.
my first Nintendo DS games that I made sure to purchase was the WarioWare for DS. Because, oh my god, this
There's
game
one
and
that
like was
was,
it Rhythm Heaven, Rhythm
Rhythm Heaven Fever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That game was
those
awesome.
games are so good.
My first WarioWare was on the Game Boy Advance, like the original one.
Mhm.
Oh, the one with
That
the
was really fun.
tilt thing in the cartridge, or was that the second?
That must have been the second one.
Okay, because that's the one I played, and that thing was cool.
Yeah, I think
The original one came out in high school for me.
the first one I played a bunch was on the original DS, but most recently I actually had a ton of fun playing the one on Wii U. Got some friends together and played that. I'm kind of sad this is coming out on 3DS and not Switch, but
Yeah,
That's
I don't know.
That's
The-
something I wanted to bring up too. So the 3DS has news about it. Are they not phasing it out? Are they going to?
So officially, they're still holding to the 3DS as part of our lineup card, in much the same way when the DS came out, and as it was coming out and shortly after it came out, they were still giving the line of oh, we still have the Game Boy pillar. The DS is its own separate pillar. And then the DS exploded, and they've never called anything a Game Boy since. So, like, eventually, they're going to kill off the 3DS, but it's still selling, and the games are still selling.
I think we're
Like,
still
it's hitting
good
a
for.
specific price point that it has its own market.
I think we're still good for this year, but once Pokemon for Switch comes out, that's the real.
Oh yeah, then
nail.
it's
That's the
probably
nail in the
dead.
coffin.
Like
It's
once, or at least, well, at least the nail for like big stuff. I'm sure, much like with other huge install-based consoles, there's gonna be stuff coming out in it and for like in like drips for years. But
Right. Yeah, I think Sun and Moon sold a lot of 3DSs. The new one.
A
the new
lot.
3DS.
The Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, selling all them 2DS XLs.
And even that. Yeah, exactly.
so yeah, like Pokemon on the Switch is gonna be the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, for the 3DS officially.
Yeah. I agree. That makes sense.
Because I mean, Pokemon is gigantic still. It still
Right.
sells a gazillion copies. It still moves systems, and having it on the Switch will be like, well, I guess I can finally get rid of the 3DS. Hope they bring over hope they build in Pokebank to the Switch one, because God knows I have like 600 goddamn Pokemon to move over.
Oh jeez.
Speaking of former 3DS games, the new Kirby is out now.
Out.
Right? For this
Yeah.
It just came out today.
Yeah. That looks awesome. I have not tried it. I love Kirby.
There's a demo out that I haven't tried yet,
Kirby can even make.
I will definitely
but I need to.
check it out.
Also, I will say I'm browsing the Nintendo Direct page, and I really hate when you click a video and it starts playing, and it's always at full volume.
Yeah, so I was doing the same thing, but I'm the one broadcasting it, so I feel really bad. So I just muted the whole tab to stop that from happening.
Yeah,
Oh,
my,
smart.
it's very loud.
But yeah, I definitely want to pick this up. It's hard to justify buying Kirby games because they're usually crazy short and expensive
And easy generally, but
and very easy. But I do love Kirby.
This
yeah,
is where
I mean, there's a demo.
this is where you get a brother whose favorite franchise is Kirby, who will buy everything.
And just mooch.
And yeah, because I don't think there's console to console multiplayer. I think it's all couch. So I'm just gonna grab my controllers and just go play with him.
Neat.
Man,
Also, one last thing about the 3DS. There's a friggin' Luigi's Mansion remake coming for the
Yes.
3DS,
very
Oh,
which is
yeah.
insane.
Back.
It's like 8 years into the 3DS, like 50, like how many years since it first came out? And hey, here's the remake on the 3DS after we made another Luigi's Mansion.
This is actually great news because I've never played Luigi's Mansion. and
It's really
3DS Would be the perfect medium for it because of the map on the screen.
I think it's like secretly the best launch window GameCube game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember when GameCube came out and how many people were so upset that the launch title was Luigi's Mansion and not
Mhm.
a video game.
And it's really good.
That's when people started hating Luigi or loving Luigi forever. And I think at this point most people.
Well, yeah, it's because before this he was never really a character.
That's
He was
true.
just Green Mario.
I mean, like he literally was Green Mario until Mario 2, but
Yeah.
like he never had a game besides like Mario Party or the tennis games and whatever.
No, he really. I don't think he did. But he did have a big role in those games a bit. But they.
I mean, I
fleshed out-
guess there was Mario is missing, but
That doesn't count. Get out
that
of here.
doesn't count.
Oh my god.
It's not a real
Also,
game.
there's a new Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story coming for the 3DS, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah,
So those
so
are
the remastering
real
the
good.
game and including new DLC.
yeah. So it's basically it's cool.
Whoa, weird. I played the first one, Superstar Saga, which I loved. A
Mhm.
ton, but I never played.
People
Inside
wondered where Paper Mario went, and it went here. It went
Mhm.
to the Mario and Luigi games on handhelds.
Yeah, pretty much. I wonder if they will make another Paper Mario. I wonder how successful Color Splash was. I know Frothy really, really liked it, but I don't think it.
I mean, it was just I don't know. I think there was a. Is that the one with the stamps?
Yeah, stamps and like the stick, the hammer, and it painted, and then it had the photorealistic like summons.
Oh, like the
Which was,
fan.
really weird, like
Yeah.
the fan and the washing machine. They were like realistic, and everything else was cartoony. And it was so out
Oh.
of place.
I don't know. I'd like to see a new Paper Mario.
Yeah,
Although I guess
but the games is.
seems like most of the RPG stuff Nintendo's doing now has been on handhelds almost exclusively for the last years. Like all these RPGs shifted there, like Paper Mario and Pokemon and whatever. You know, Pokemon's always been there, but I don't know. It'd be cool to see a new actual Paper Mario.
You know what RPG is not on the 3DS?
Octopath Traveler.
Octopath Traveler.
I've been so excited about that game since I did the first playtest, and now we've got an actual release date. It's coming, finally.
That demo was so cool.
Right?
I didn't play the demo. I didn't even know there was one.
Oh.
It was like a play test. It was like a play. I think it's probably still on the store. I don't think they took it down. It's really cool because
Oh my god.
This game has a look that's awesome.
It really does. I love the quality of the sprites.
Yeah, like
too.
I think like they straight up are just calling it like HD 2D, which I'm surprised nobody has like trademarked in the last 15 years because it makes a lot of sense with all their high def pixel art indie games.
Yeah.
But like if you ever played Bravely Default, this is like that team making another game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I actually enjoyed Bravely Default.
So it doesn't have quite the same like extra turn, like press turn almost sort of system, but you can like it's a game about in battle, you know, making combos around queuing up actions.
Yeah.
And getting like having 4 in a row or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And exploiting enemy weaknesses so that your opponents just never get a turn.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I actually really enjoyed that because it seems like a slight iteration on the original RPG turn-based system,
like
as opposed to other RPGs where they're trying to like add tactical movement and real-time action, and they try to switch it up too much.
Like you've got like 2 branches of traditional RPG. You've got like the Persona Shin Megami Tensei like press turn system, where you can take another turn if you knock down or exploit the weaknesses, and then now you have this other branch which is much more traditional, but like also very different in that it's kind of more frenetic in the like I just need to hit this R button and get like 12 turns right now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, other than Pokemon, it's been a while since I gotten into a turn-based kind of RPG, but this one is I had a lot of fun with that demo.
I think like even just having 2 characters and like the very obvious like demo limiting stuff, like the way that 2 characters are completely different. They start in completely different places. They have completely different out of combat in town interactions and way to interact. Like I
saw that. That seemed
the captain
really cool.
dude can like challenge just people to like fights
Just because.
And like the dancer, you can like recruit people temporarily into the party to like bring them places or like, you know, move guards to like get into a building or whatever. Then there's going to be like 6 more completely different characters that you can start the game as and eventually pick up everybody else. Like it seems nuts.
Fun fact, the first letter of each of the 8 characters' names is starting to spell out Octopath, which is also 8 letters.
Oh my god.
That's really cool.
I didn't know that, and now that I do, the name of the game makes
meta.
a lot more sense. Because
Put that up and post at it.
Because Octopath Traveler is definitely a name that's like, that's a work in progress name.
Oh, which I think they did too much marketing on that now, so they just had to stick with that name.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's a Project Natal.
Yeah. What else came out? Okami coming back, which is interesting.
Yeah.
The Okami HD.
I did not play Okami, the original, because the intro is like 6 hours long, and we got bored, and we moved on to another game. After everyone was saying Okami is so great, why was the intro
Okami's one of those
6
games.
hours long?
Okami's one of those games where, like, spoiler alert, the game starts after you think it's about to end.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Speaking of Bravely Default.
Yeah.
Oh. Ha!
Yeah. Oh my god. I still haven't finished the first one. Because I was just like, this is stupid, I'm done.
I think I actually just played the first one's demo. I don't know if I actually played the first one itself. But I know Digi loves it.
It's really good. It's just the way that gimmick at the end of the game works. I don't have time for that.
Wait, did you? No, my other friend. Sorry, my other friend, Sebastian loves it. Sorry. I also wanted to mention
this weird bomb-ass friggin' Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes.
Oh, no, I missed
Have
that.
you watched this? I don't know what this game is.
Somebody mentioned it looks kind of like Fury.
Yeah, Fury or like Smash TV almost. Like it's I don't know what this game is. Especially watching this video on mute where it's just all the different types of gameplay in a montage and then like weird artwork and I don't know what.
Well, it does look like Smash TV.
Yeah.
All I know is I played the first No More Heroes and I freaking loved it. I never got around to the second one, but I could
never
get down.
actually played any of them, but I know that they're well loved by the people that did play them.
If you like your anime like turned into the anime setting,
Yeah.
it's real good.
Nightmare
Like-
Burger.
You save by going to the bathroom,
Yep.
sitting on the toilet.
And you recharge your lightsaber sword by jerking it off.
Yeah.
You got the Wiimote
great.
and you had to like
With the Wiimote?
recharge the sword.
Wow.
It's real good.
What else is on my list here?
I mean-
Crash Bandicoot is coming to Switch,
Mhm.
which is very weird to me.
Like I know it's a property owned by what Activision.
Yeah, now
No.
it's Activision.
It's still super weird.
Because it's
so
traditionally
weird.
PlayStation, right?
Yeah. But
It's
I mean,
like
like,
the
there's a
PlayStation
reason he wasn't
mascot.
in the PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale or whatever it's called.
PlayStation
He's not
Smash
a PlayStation.
Brothers.
He's not a Sony character.
Yeah.
Oof.
It's like
Same with Spyro. Like I associate Spyro with
Right.
PlayStation, but like that's not a PlayStation and that's not a Sony brand.
Right. Well, Sony Computer Entertainment did own Crash 1 originally at one point. I just don't
Yeah.
think they own it anymore.
It's weird, and like and it's it's coming to like PC and stuff as well, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of interested in it, but also like I have the disc still for Crash 3, and like that's the only one I kind of care about replaying.
I want to
So
get the PS4 version just because I don't know. I should. 'Cause I
Yeah,
love Crash Bandicoot so much. But it'd be like Mario coming to PlayStation. It's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It weirds me out.
Almost as weird as our wholesome baby boy Nintendo Switch getting a South Park game.
It's
Now-
always adult games now.
I enjoyed the first South Park when that came out, and I've kind of been putting off the Fractured Butthole.
Yeah.
But now that's coming on Switch, I've gotten a great excuse to finally play it.
I've watched a few people play it. I haven't tried it myself, but one thing that impresses me about that is the art in that game is ridiculous. It looks like you're watching an episode
Yeah.
of South Park.
like that's
Incredible.
Yes.
like I think like a lot of people kind of really fallen off South Park the show
Yes.
over the past
It's just
X
it's on
number of
forever.
years for like whatever.
Watch all of them. Yeah.
But like that first game was really fun. It felt like old South Park.
Mhm.
It just eventually the gameplay just kind of like runs out.
Right.
And this one seems like it has more gameplay to it. It's less simple.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's less of the turn-based RPG, and now they add the tactics, like
Yeah,
you were
it's
saying
Fire
earlier.
Emblem.
Yeah.
And then, like, I think there's stats and stuff you can put on your character that affects what they actually do to solve puzzles.
Yeah, and
stuff
like
in the game.
superhero stuff is real cool.
Yes.
So, like, I remember watching someone do something in like a strip club, and because of certain skills that they had, they were able to figure out the solution through using those abilities. Like, they were able to steal items because of whatever.
And also, like, who would have thought that the first like build your own, create your own superhero RPG would be a South Park game?
Yeah,
Like,
not City of Heroes,
yeah, not somebody making a single player City of Heroes or something.
right? That's kind of like what should we call it? Never mind, I forgot. I can't remember the name of the game.
Like that's a genre, I guess, if you want to call it that. That like I totally understand why nobody's made it because that sounds impossible. To make like a good build your own superhero RPG that's single
Yeah.
player. Like there's been like 4 MMOs.
Oh, I
It's
miss
hard to
City of
make your
Heroes.
own superhero.
Like,
Like,
I'm surprised nobody's tried.
it's hard to make good superhero games in general. You know?
Oh yes,
There's so few of them.
I flew through enough rings, Superman, for one
Did you
lifetime.
watch the speedrun of
Oh
that?
my god, the speedrun
Yes.
for that was great.
That was
So
funny.
as a child, I rented that game once,
I'm so sorry.
That's.
and
Did you
like
get your money back?
No, because like even as a kid, like I recognized this is a terrible game, but I liked it for that reason, and like that's part of the reason why I have such an affinity with like bad games and terrible movies. It's because of friggin' Superman 64 just broke something in me when I was a kid.
Broke your cynicism because it was so terrible.
It's something else, man. Like that
funny.
speed run doesn't really show how awful the controls are.
No, it did not.
It's something. I encourage everybody to attempt the first level.
Burnout, do you play Splatoon 2?
I don't, but I'm thinking about playing it now. Part of my problem was I'm not super into competitive shooters, even though I have been playing a lot of PUBG. But generally, I'm not, especially on consoles. So, but then they announced this new DLC pack that's heavily single-player story-based, and that's actually got me kind of intrigued.
Yeah, I heard the single player is actually pretty good for these games, surprisingly.
Like
'Cause
I
they never
hadn't
advertised it, and then it was
I hadn't
good.
played the first Splatoon because by the time it like came out, I was just done with the Wii U. And then Splatoon 2 came out, and I didn't have a Switch when it was released, so I was kind of like, all right, that looks interesting if I ever get a Switch. And by the time I finally got one, I had Zelda to play.
Yeah.
So like with this new DLC, it's like, yeah, maybe I'll pick up Splatoon 2. I've heard nothing but good things since the first one.
That's true.
Well, if we both pick it up, maybe we can play some of the multiplayer.
Yes.
I know Frothy has it. At least I'm pretty sure he has it. So at least that'd be 4 there. That'd be fun. Maybe I'll get it as well. And then last things is that Undertale's coming to Switch.
Yes,
Great.
the big surprise reveal of the Nintendo Direct. Undertale.
Which was
I love
hilarious.
this trailer for it.
Yeah, the
real
trailer
great.
was.
Who turned? Oh, this game is great graphics, but you have the lights off, so you can't see them.
Yeah. What's interesting about this too is that it's bringing Game Maker, which is the game engine that made Undertale, and they're bringing that to the Switch.
And then Game Maker is like releasing a version of Game Maker that you can purchase for the Switch.
Yep. Yeah.
Which
So
is
it's going to allow more people to
yeah,
bring more games.
which is
over.
cool.
And there's some really good Game Maker games out there. Off the top of my head, I know Valda's Story is one. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Or
I
Hotline
believe-
Miami.
Yeah, Hotline Miami.
Miami. So it'd be cool to see those things.
And
on
then
the Switch as
there was
well.
one more that I played semi recently. It was like a callback to like Chrono Trigger.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Of course, my Steam list has become the least organized place to look for
Hyperlight
games.
Drifter is apparently Game Maker, which I forgot about. Hyperlight Drifter is very good.
Hyperlight Drifter is awesome.
I remember trying to play that when it first came out, and the 30 frames is just hurting my head.
It's a good game. I'd recommend sticking with it a little bit more.
It's funny, when I played it, I didn't notice until I read that, and then I went back and like loaded my save, and I was like, oh, right. How I didn't notice because the animation hid a lot of it for me.
But I heard somebody say there was a 60 frames patch at some point, or a hack or something, so I might.
I think there's an
back.
official 60 frames release.
Because for like a fast-paced, dodgy action game, I kind of need my frames.
It's weird, like when that game first came out, I was playing through it in 30 FPS, I didn't really feel like lack of responsiveness or something from 30 FPS because the way it's all animated hides a lot of the missing frames, I guess, and it doesn't care when you hit the button. You can like cancel out of basically everything.
Apparently, there's a version of Spelunky. It looks like the original Spelunky.
Oh yeah, the original Spelunky,
That's
like a
so
billion
weird.
years
I
ago.
didn't know that. I read that whole book about how he made Spelunky, and I don't think he had mentioned Game Maker once.
I mean, would you?
I guess not. After remaking the whole thing, I recommend that book for anyone who hasn't read it. It's just called Boss something, but it's written by the Spelunky guy. What's his name? Something Yu. Derek Yu, and it's a really cool book. It's all about Xbox Live Arcade. Surprisingly.
Oh
That was,
right,
like, a big
back
thing
when
that
that
came
was
out.
yeah.
And that started the indie game movement, basically, or like
Mhm.
popularized it, like threw it into the
Like
the
that
spotlight.
first summer of arcade that had like Braid and stuff in it.
Yep, and Geometry Wars.
Yeah, that like
Uh,
created indie games.
Yeah, I mean, they'd been around, but that was the first time like not people that sought them out was suddenly exposed to them.
You weren't going to like weird websites to find them.
You weren't going to Newgrounds or Congregate.
Right. And like the whole process of like patching and developing and all of it was this huge hassle just because Microsoft had no idea what they were doing. So like if you made a game and wanted to patch it, it took like a month before the patch could get approved and sent through.
Yep.
I remember that
It was
being
all-
a big deal with Fez when it came out. The version he
Yes.
released apparently had some game breaking and game file erasing bugs, and he was like, I can't afford to put the patch up.
Send it through cert.
Yeah.
And
Speaking
then
of,
great
like-
game development forever.
Like sort of off topic, there was a fun rare crash in the recently released Vermintide 2 where it would crash so badly it would uninstall itself. Which they fixed in the most recent patch. So
Is
if
that
anybody
the
had that
Steam
problem, it's
version?
fixed now.
How does that happen?
I don't know,
That's awesome.
but games are interesting. Also, the game I was thinking of is Cosmic Star Heroine, which is pretty good.
Never heard of it. Sounds
It's
interesting.
kind of Chrono Cross or Chrono Trigger, but like it's shorter. It's a shorter game, so there's not a whole lot of like grinding. It's like you play through the levels in order, but it's fun.
Oh, this is weird looking. It's cool.
Yeah,
Most
it's
RPGs
like a
are,
callback to like Sega Saturn graphics and like Chrono Trigger and stuff. It's pretty
I know,
good.
I was gonna say most of all these like small indie RPGs being made with RPG Maker, like To the Moon and stuff like that. But like this is such a unique art style because it was made in Game Maker. Cool. I appreciate that. I'll check this out sometime.
Also, very important, and from the Switch announcement, Captain Toad. Finally,
Yes.
a new Captain Toad.
I didn't play the original. I still regret it.
Ah,
I'm getting-
it's one of those
Or-
games where like the whole thing is just comfortable.
I love the levels.
Like,
in
it's-
Galaxy.
It's a whole game
Uh,
of exploring that level
3D
concept.
World?
It's
3D World. That's it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
and it's a whole game exploring those levels, like the concept and the design, and like really kind of pushing it. And like the whole thing is very like light, very fun, very wholesome. It's a good game.
I'm glad we got to
As
see
Burnout
Captain
was
Toad.
showing the videos of these.
Oh yeah, no, I've been pulling up the trailers. I was glad to see Captain Toad in Odyssey, but I was a little disappointed that we didn't get the Captain Toad levels like we did in 3D World.
I did really like the way you like the weird ways you met him though. Like that was a very Captain Toad. Like, oh, how did you get stuck behind this snow bank? How did you get in there?
yeah.
And he's like, I would just jump out of here, but that's the joke in these games. He can't jump. His backpack's
Right.
too heavy.
Yeah, I remember finding him in that island that you crash into, and he's like behind the wall, and there's this whole cave back there, and I was like, what?
I remember the first time I found him, I felt like I was like like I skipped. It almost felt like I skipped like a puzzle to get to him, but it's actually he's just hidden, just the way. It's like one of those. He's like under the
Right.
level in the cave or whatever.
Yeah.
I felt like I broke something. Like I feel like I should have like had to do a thing to get here instead of just like turning a corner.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Is that everything? Oh, from the Nintendo Direct?
Oh yeah, and then they announced Smash Brothers.
Oh yes!
Oh,
Smash
yeah.
Brothers.
It's just a little
To the confusion, to the mass confusion of the internet.
Which is very strange. I don't know why people were so confused about this. They were like,
Yeah,
oh,
I feel like
they
very
announced it
immediately,
before.
it was like if this was just Smash 4 HD, they'd say it. They'd have the logo up.
And,
like, what-
they
it's
made Smash
not
for every
Smash
console. Why would they stop doing that?
And I think the thing is, it has been 4 years since the last one came out. It just doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
No, because like they've been releasing DLC for Smash 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Bayonetta came out, like that last batch of characters only came out last year
Yeah, I mean, I never even
or whatever year
Cloud.
before, maybe. I
I
don't
know
know.
Cloud's on there, and I never even got around to that.
Cloud, Ryu, Bayonetta,
Yeah.
and like Corrin from Fire Emblem turned into a dragon.
Smash is one of those games that makes me wish like I liked fighting games because when I tried playing it online, it just wasn't fun. It continues to be a game I can only play locally.
To
with
be fair,
people.
Smash 4's online mode isn't great. Like they took the meme of Fox no items Final Destination only too seriously because that's the whole online mode. Just
Right.
one flat level, which is from a competitive
Omega mode.
from a competitive Smash Brothers standpoint, is like an awful level. Final Destination is terrible.
Right.
It's bad for like 90% of the cast because you just eat Fox and Falco lasers all day.
You know,
Right.
you joke about the Omega mode, but I actually appreciate it because of all the people I play with who are Final Destination only. But now every level can be Final Destination, so at least I can look at a different background.
Yep.
I'm making fun of the name
Oh, the name.
to show its hardcoreness. Omega, you know. They couldn't have just called it flat mode. They had to be like Omega.
No, because they couldn't call it flat mode because flat zone is
Is
Game
a
& Watch.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, flat's on flat mode. Why not?
I'm very like I always get very excited. It is kind of weird that it was like teased in a direct, not at like E3 or something.
Yeah.
And they haven't like thrown up a dojo page or whatever, but I'm sure they'll do that at some point.
I'm sure
I always enjoy Smashes. I always look forward to trying like some single player aspect.
It's fun.
And, you know, but I always get tired of them before too long, unfortunately. But I'll probably
Like I know that like Smash gets a lot of weird hate from gaming communities because it's like not really a fighting game, even though it shows up at Evo, even though it's like the most attended game at Evo every year.
Yeah.
But like, I like it a lot, and whatever if the most recent games aren't going to replace Melee as the competitive game, who cares? They're fun.
Right. I agree.
Beat up your weird guest character as like Donkey Kong
Yeah.
with a Pokeball. Like it's great.
Well, what I missed with Smash 4 is the FUN-GINEER community was defunct at the time. But now that everyone owns a Switch, maybe we can play online, and then that
I would be very excited to do that because there's a
Yeah.
lot of some of my best memories with like video games in general is like Smash 64 with my friends. We'd come over, we'd play 99 stock matches with items on very high only Pokeballs.
Yep.
And just sit around, hang out for like 2 hours and just play.
Oh man,
Pokemon.
you were playing it wrong. You were playing it in the 64 era. We had Super Smash Brothers. You had GoldenEye. Both games we had a you only live twice mode.
Okay.
2 lives.
I don't know. We just like to hang out, and we dropped GoldenEye, me and my friends, real quick when Perfect Dark came out, and we realized it's just better.
Better GoldenEye.
I don't
Are you a
like.
GoldenEye apologist, Burnout?
No. I enjoyed it at the time, but like we were just saying, Perfect Dark is the better GoldenEye. And Perfect Dark got the HD re-release on 360 with dual stick
The
support.
second stick?
It's so
it's
good.
great.
Getting to relive that game with a real control scheme, it's still
And
worth
like
playing.
a frame rate
Really?
above 20.
Oh yeah.
Because Perfect Dark did not run good.
When you set off the mines and the frame rate just tanks.
Like even just that first level, like you load into the campaign, the opening cutscene of like the hover ship flying through the Blade Runner city is at like 14 frames a second. It's awful.
Yeah. That's how I feel about GoldenEye. Its whole intro is terrible. And
Like
could never
I
get
much
that
prefer GoldenEye's campaign to Perfect Dark's,
game. Yeah. I mean,
but
it's
I
thematic,
way prefer the multiplayer in Perfect Dark to GoldenEye.
right.
It's just better, and it has the best GoldenEye maps in it. So if you want to play GoldenEye, you can do
That's
that
true.
with bots.
You recently got a
It had-
HD thing for N64.
It had multiplayer bots on an N64. It's amazing. That game should set your N64 on fire.
The bots weren't very smart. Let's
No,
be
but like
clear.
you had a bunch of bots, and they were all like different types. You had like pacifist Sims and like Sims that would hunt the player, Sims that would go only after power weapon spawns.
Yeah.
That's great.
So before we get into some other small console news, that I think that covers all of Nintendo.
Yeah, I think.
Everything Nintendo's done.
Oh, I
recently.
guess Mario Tennis, but you know, it's,
Yeah, Mario
Mario
Tennis.
Tennis will be fun. It's
it'll be
Mario.
fun,
It's
but
tennis.
Hopefully fun. The Mario sports games haven't been super great in the Wii U era, but who knows?
Yeah. So yeah, but we could take a short break. We've been talking for an hour.
Need to go get some more water.
yeah, everybody gotta take a quick bathroom break.
Shortly.
Whoever owns Perrier, if you want to be the third sponsor of our stream, I'll take a crate of water.
Cool. I'm gonna mute my mic and get some water.
I'm also gonna beat my mic, but I'm gonna put on some music for everybody first. So let me just get this Winamp window, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. So don't go anywhere.
Hello.
Excellent timing.
I lied about getting water.
What'd you get?
I got from the Church Key Brewing Company in Campbellford, Ontario. Holy smoke.
Ah, yes. Excellent.
It's real good, very smoky.
I think the beer is what triggered my bladder in the first place, so I went back and I opted to grab the delicious Coca-Cola.
An excellent vintage.
Yes.
Oh, can you smell that? Like, I'll take that in. It might work better through the microphone. Just kind of. There we go. Very peat mossy.
Very dark and oaky. That's the only way I know to describe beer and coffee. You just call it oaky, and apparently that's a thing.
I mean, like a lot of like dark ales, dark beers are coffee flavored. There's coffee in them. Ah, that's good.
So,
Oh, TV dinner.
you didn't tell us you were getting dinner.
I'm back. I didn't get dinner.
What is
I
that?
forgot.
Yeah, what was that plate then?
They sell Cinnabon
Oh,
rolls.
Oh,
Look at that.
you
They're
know,
like little.
that's dangerous.
I've had
They're
those
like little
before.
Cinnabon
I know exactly what
munchkins.
those are. Those are little.
That's real dangerous.
You microwave them for 40 seconds. You let
Mhm.
them sit for a minute,
Mhm.
and they're delicious. So
So when I was in Florida, I went to an Auntie Anne's pretzel place for the first time.
Ooh.
Yes.
And like, if I had one of those near me, I'd never eat anything different. And they
Yeah.
had the same thing. They had like little tiny pretzel bits you could get in like a box. And I almost
Yeah.
went back after getting a full pretzel for like another one because just
I'm more of a Wetzel's pretzels kind of guy, but Auntie Annie's is okay.
we don't have those out here. I've never heard of Wetzel pretzel.
Oh, that's like the chain. I mean, we still get Annie's out here too, but our local.
I guess it's a
mall
West
chain-
Coast thing.
Yeah.
My only problem with Annie's is they're very like expensive for a pretzel. I don't know. It's weird.
I guess I don't know. Like I'm used to paying that like at a restaurant that serves like a pretzel as an appetizer or
true.
whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
I
the
guess-
very excellent Amsterdam Brew House makes an awesome pretzel.
I also
And they have,
brought
like a beer mustard dipping sauce. It's real good.
Some of the best of Massachusetts.
Oh yeah.
Focus.
Out of focus. Out of focus.
The Spencer, Trappist,
You
Imperial,
two.
Stout.
I was trying to get you guys to start with a beer, and now you both brought beers, and I switched to soda.
The finest of beers.
Yes, a fine vintage.
We'll splice this footage with yours later.
So is it actually a Trappist ale, like brewed in a monastery, or are they just allowed to call it that in the States?
Nope, it's the only monastery in the U.S. that are
Really?
the first Trappist monastery in the U.S. from Spencer,
Interesting.
Massachusetts.
I did not know that. That's really cool. Because I've only
Yeah.
ever seen like actual like Belgian like Trappist ales and whatever for sale here.
Yep, the brewmaster is from Spencer's monastery. They sent them to Belgium, and they trained with them for like a year, I think, and then they came back, and now they make beer.
That's really cool.
And it's awesome.
I
love their
wish
stuff.
I wish
It's
more
very-
American beer made its way up here, other
Yeah.
than like the big stuff.
I
Although I will say, of like all the like 6-7 craft beers I bought when I was down in Florida, all of them were very good. But like I haven't yet found something like an American beer that I can't get a better version of here, or something that's as good.
Right.
Say that in defense of Canada, like you guys have like there are so many microbreweries in the U.S. It's nuts.
Well, the culture of that has really exploded in the past like couple of years.
Yeah, like it's crazy just like how many microbrews you can get anywhere.
We've had like 20 open by us in the past, like since we've moved here.
So it turns out fermenting things isn't super difficult.
Yes, I think that's really what it comes down to.
Distilling things harder. Fermenting beer not super hard.
Everyone does a homebrew and then is surprised, like, "Hey, this was kind of easy." And then people drinking, they're like, "Hey, this tastes like beer. I could make this." And
You know,
I mean, like you guys have so many. We went to this beer and wine store. It was like the beer section was like, "Oh, build a 6-pack," and like the
Yep.
section was just like it just went. It was like a Walmart-sized building of just alcohol.
Yep.
I was flabbergasted.
Next time you're down in Vermont, you should check out the various areas. There's so
Yes.
many breweries now.
We've done like a lot of the restaurants on like Queen Street in Vermont have just like, here's like a selection of local beers, and I've never heard of any of them, so we just pick them.
Yep.
So I just pulled up a map of the San Diego Brewers Guild, and
Oh
here
yeah, you
is-
guys have like 1,000.
yes,
in
just
the
in
city or
our
something.
one city.
Yep.
And then apparently not in the Brewers Guild, but some of the bigger brews like your Ballast Points and your Stones
Yep.
and your they're
I had
all
a
right here
very
too.
nice, Ballast Point IPA, I believe.
I live in this neighborhood right here, Mira Mesa. Here's this road that just got all these breweries.
That's crazy.
That's
you got
a
quality, not quantity, but I'm still impressed.
I mean, it's also pretty good.
There's a really good. I haven't checked it out. Like I noticed last year when I was googling, there's like a brewery like down the street from me that I never knew was there, and they have like a lunchroom and everything. I'm like, I need to probably check that out at some point.
This
I have
podcast
been-
brought to you
What?
by beer.
Yes, brought to you by beer, and Razor, and
Sennheiser and Perrier.
all of those.
Coke's too good for us though.
No, we
Oh,
can't
yeah.
afford. We can't get that Coke sponsorship. Sorry.
Okay, so
What else is in the news?
In the
we
chat,
left off.
brewery.
We
With-
left off talking about Nintendo. We're now going to move on to
The Witcher
other-
coming to Soul Calibur 6.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
continuing the fine long tradition of the least expected crossovers in Soul Calibur games.
I know. Do you remember the Darth Vader and Yoda
And
In
Star
Soul
Killer.
Calibur 4.
Star Killer? Yep.
And Soul
and-
Calibur 5 has Ezio.
Yes, and Link was in one of them.
Yeah,
Soul
so
Calibur
Soul
2
Calibur 2, each of the consoles had one.
had
So
Link,
yeah.
Hayachi, and
Spawn.
Spawn.
right.
Spawn.
for
Yes,
Xbox,
Spawn!
which is super
That was
cool.
so weird.
Super cool. He is a terrible character, like balance wise, but like, I mean, if early days of the Xbox, you don't really have anybody to choose from because I don't think Halo was out yet,
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was before Halo really exploded.
or like it was under development before Halo, so they wouldn't have been able
Not
to.
that Master Chief would make a great Soul Calibur character.
I could see it. It makes
Maybe.
sense.
I mean, I wouldn't have expected like Ezio to, but
I would never have expected
At least he's a
that.
melee fighter. Like, what's Master
Yeah.
Chief gonna do? Bring a gun to a sword fight?
I don't know. They added the battle toads and like to like friggin' Killer Instinct. They can do anything at this point.
That's
What's really
You can
funny
fit anybody
about
into
the-
any fighting game.
What's really funny about the trailer too, when you watch him Geralt fighting, you can see that he uses like actually physically based animations, and like he's not doing anime fighting. It looks really out of place.
that is the they look like they ripped the animation straight from Witcher 3. It looks
I mean, they
so
probably
good.
did as part of the license agreement, I imagine.
Yeah,
Right.
he's got
Hey,
a very
give
defined
us
style.
the stuff.
Yeah, like he fights like his sword weighs something,
Mhm.
which is very outside of Soul Calibur.
Mhm.
Oh, like beyond Soul Calibur.
Yeah. 'Cause
But
Soul
I don't know,
Calibur's
it's cool.
Weapons are made of paper clips. And they just
I was a huge fan of Soul Calibur 5, and like here, one second, I'm going to show you how big a fan of Soul Calibur 5 I was.
He's got a thing. He's getting a thing.
it's just a giant sword.
shelf.
See, I was a little disappointed
I
because
thought I had it on my bookshelf, but I bought like the Soul Calibur 5 like guidebook. It's like this thick.
Oh, jeez.
Like official, it's a guidebook, and like obviously stuff changes and patches and there's combos and whatever.
Mhm.
But it also has like 3/4 of the book is just like artwork and lore
Mhm.
on all the characters. It's like 600. It's awesome. It's all nicely bound. I played a shit ton of Soul Calibur 5. Soul Calibur is the only video game series I think I've ever been comfortable playing. I'm terrible at fighting games. But
Yeah,
Soul Calibur is the only one I
same.
feel like I know what I'm doing.
Hmm. See, this is a pretty cool announcement, but I kind of got my hopes up in the wrong direction because they had teased on the CD Projekt Red Twitter the day before.
Walls of Kaer Morhen have seen much battle.
Yeah, I was like, what is that? What does that mean? They said they weren't going to do any more Witcher games, and I got this, which is pretty cool, but
Like,
I
I don't know.
Content.
Like knowing Soul Calibur's coming and like seeing the way that tweet was phrased, I'm like, oh yeah, Geralt's going to be in Soul Calibur. There's no other reason to write your marketing thing this way, this specific way, unless it's Soul Calibur related, because it's got a style. You know, the
and then
The wheels of history shall turn again.
Is
Whatever.
Witcher on a console?
Yes.
Yeah.
They ported Witcher 3 to, I believe, for the 360 as well, right? Or am I dreaming that? Or is it only on 1 and PS4?
I think it's just on 1 and PS4. Witcher 2 was on 360.
That might be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really curious because I actually never played Witcher 3, and I keep wanting.
Yeah, PC, Xbox One, PS4.
PS4. Do you think it'll come to the Switch? That's what I was really getting at. Skyrim came to the Switch.
But knowing that Witcher's whole thing is being like ball-busting graphics, I don't think we're going to get that crammed down onto a little Tegra.
Witcher 2 was out on the 360, the PC, Mac, and Linux, no PS3, because I imagine the RAM limits would not allow that to happen.
Huh. So, but I think you were going to say, not only was there a Geralt crossover recently...
At the same time.
Literally within the same cycle of news. Tekken.
Noctis.
The new Tekken game that's already out is announced in the Noctis Final Fantasy 15 character.
I think he was like previously announced like at... I want to say, was it at Winter Brawl? It was at some like Tekken tournament. They had like a trailer that they showed, and it was like Noctis is coming to Tekken, along with like they have like Geese Howard from Guilty Gear, or not Guilty Gear, King of Fighters and stuff already.
Okay. Yeah.
And like it's like, oh, here's Noctis, and like here's the friggin' Cup of Noodles shit again. And
are you dissing Cup Noodle? Cup Noodle DLC?
I mean, no, but like, oh my god, there's so much of that already. And then I started playing, like, sort of off topic, but Assassin's Creed Origins. There's a Final Fantasy 15 crossover with that game.
Wait,
there's
really?
like, yeah, like there's like when you're in Out of the Animus, there's like little like plushy like cactars and whatever around your like base. But then in the game, there's a quest line that involves like I don't know, it's like waking up or like summoning the like main villain from Final Fantasy 15, and then you get like a sword and shield from Final Fantasy 15 and a chocobo skin for a camel, which is the most horrifying monster I've ever seen, because it's a chocobo except it has front legs because it's still a camel.
Perfect.
Crossovers. Because there was the whole thing, there was the Assassin's Creed Festival in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, in Final Fantasy, yeah. It was like a two-way crossover. And then now he's beating up Cyber Yoshimitsu in Tekken.
Normally, I don't really like super pay attention to fighting game news, but I've always loved Tekken. And
they've been everywhere these days.
Just watching Noctis's moveset, like, I don't know, it looks crazy. It looks
it's a good fit for Tekken.
Where he has like crazy range and is teleporting and shit, but who knows?
Well, it's weird because he's not the first Tekken character to get like weird range. Like Yoshimitsu has a sword,
right?
And like Jack can like shoot his arm out, and like, you know, Tekken. So like he's a really good fit for Tekken because Tekken has a very long history of having weird friggin' characters that like are completely different, do weird things, and like Tekken has such a bizarre, since like Tekken 4 or something, or like first Tekken Tag has such like a bizarre like costume system, and this one has like a build your own character thing that like dress Noctis up as a fisherman, fight with a fishing rod. Who cares? Like it's it's a very good fit for Tekken.
I kind of want to. If I was to learn a fighting game, I would learn Tekken over Street Fighter, and Smash, just because Tekken. I remember Tekken 1, 2, and 3. I played so much, especially Tekken 2. I don't know if anyone else had the PlayStation 1 demo disc with Tekken 2 on it, but we used to play the crap out of that, and it was so fun. You only had 2 characters, and there was like one of those time limit demos where you could only play for like 10 minutes before it just killed the game.
Oh,
but that was fun. And then Tekken 3 was just really good. So
yeah, Tekken's one of those games where like it's surprisingly easy to pick up and learn, because like everything does a billion damage, so you're not super worried about like having to like memorize long combos, because like short combos do good damage.
Right.
And it's easier to like read things like spacing and dodging and timing on blocks, because everything has a lot of movement. There's a lot of animation, and like, you know, you can sidestep like horizontal moves, and it's the same reason why it's the same deal with like Soul Calibur, where like it's all easy to read. So like you don't have to like know block strings and combos and how to break stuff, because it's like you get a sense of Yeah, and but because you get a sense of like, oh, he's swinging a sword at me, I should probably dodge it because I've played an action game before.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I tried understanding Street Fighter once, and I watched it, and I was like, I don't understand what's happening. And
Street Fighter can be tough
but
that way.
I do say watching competitive fighting games is incredible, even if you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much fun.
I'm terrible at
Everyone's
them, but
so
I enjoy
excited.
watching.
Yeah, everyone's so excited to be.
And I really like playing with them, even though I am bad at fighting games. I still like playing them because they're just, ever since Street Fighter 4 revived fighting games, it's like, oh, I forgot that these are good. Like, these feel good. There's something really, like, about just, like, the feeling of, like, just throwing a Hadouken that, like, just feels good. Like, that motion, the quarter circle forward punch feels good on, like, a very primal level.
That's true. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. It's the same with like it's the same reason why like Cuphead feels so good to play. It's because it's very responsive, but like mashing out like a dodge into a parry of like a bullet feels really good.
It feels
Just
real
doing
good until your controller starts vibrating and you get real pissed off, and then you refund the game and never play Cuphead again.
No, it's so good.
This is why you play on a fight stick, like I did, and
Fight stick.
have like way too many. It's
I
kind of a
played on
bad game.
Steering wheel and
It's kind of a bad game to play on a fight stick because like you need very quick access, like simultaneous access to a lot of buttons, so the button mapping gets weird. But
Cuphead was super fun. I don't know why I never finished it. It's like one of those.
I'm on the dice boss fight.
Do you ever play a game and you think you're gonna stream it or something, and so it prevents you from playing it because you're
Yes.
like, I'll stream this someday.
I have an entire unfinished games list, like category on Steam. It's called Unfinished Stream. The last time I updated it, it is currently 141 games long.
Oh, jeez.
And it's a lot of this stuff is just like, oh, I'm 3/4 of the way through Alice Madness Returns. I've never finished it. I should do that at some point.
But you should probably stream it.
Yeah, so it's on the list and it'll never get touched again.
The very last piece of console news there is to talk about, or that we brought up earlier in our list, is Sonic Mania is continuing, which is exciting for lots of reasons, because Sonic Mania proved that games not made by Sonic Team are good.
Yeah, Sonic games not made by Sonic Team are awesome.
It's
Maybe
weird.
Sonic Team shouldn't make them anymore.
No.
Because they should let fans really passionate about
Whatever that most recent Sonic game was is
Forces.
Heroes is Forces.
Forces. Yeah, Sonic Forces.
That thing is awful.
It's actually gotten better since its initial release.
Like it looks
I've heard.
just
But it's very safe too. Like they had all
just-
these
it's so-
ideas.
Didn't you have
And
fun
then
making
they-
Discount the Hedgehog?
no, because I was just watching the Game Grumps playthrough, and despite them like weirdly enjoying it, I'm like, bad game. This is
Yeah, it's just more of the same, especially because Generations was so great and everyone wanted Generations.
Yeah, Generations,
2, and
like,
everyone wanted
surprisingly good.
Generations 2. And then Sonic Mania comes out, and Sonic Mania is full of love and like unique ideas.
It
and
reminds me a lot of
really
like,
cool stuff.
do you remember that Mega Man Street Fighter fan game?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like these guys all started off like doing fan games.
Yeah.
And then they got hired by Sega, and they did like the awesome, really good ports of previous Sonic games to like other
It's just
platforms.
one guy, Chris
Yeah.
Whitehead.
And
he
then
made it all himself.
and it's like, hey, we should let me make my own Sonic game. I know what I'm doing. It's this, and it's the best Sonic game since like Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is old as shit now. And
And if you haven't played it, I don't know, Burnout, did you play it?
No, I didn't. So actually, like other games that were announced during the Nintendo Direct, this is my excuse to get it on Switch when this comes out.
I'm not like a huge Sonic person. I didn't play Sonic on the Sega games, but playing Sonic Mania and just seeing how much care they put into it, it really blew me away. I was really impressed by it. I thought it was really good.
they're good games.
So I definitely recommend it to anyone who hasn't played Sonic or is a fan of Sonic. And so the news about it is that they're going to be adding new characters that are from some other Sonic game.
Apparently, they are from the Japan-only Sega Sonic something or other. It's an
Yes.
arcade game
Correct.
that
Sega
you
something.
controlled. It was 3-player. These are 2 other characters that were basically prototypes of Tails and Knuckles. because this game was in development at the same time as Sonic 2.
Yep.
And that game, that arcade game, you played it from like an overhead 3/4 view, like Sonic 3D Blast, and all the movement was done on a trackball and a jump button, which sounds awful. So I can understand why it stayed in Japan. Apparently one of these guys, I cannot tell which, also showed up in Knuckle Chaotix and like has a thing in the comics where he has like super strength and has a backstory and whatever.
Interesting.
I mean,
But that's getting way deeper into the Sonic fandom than I think any sane person wants to go.
it goes
so-
very deep. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
But
I wonder how they'll play.
What's really neat too is I guess they're going to be doing these little animation shorts, which is cool. So the animation at the beginning was also made by a fan. If you watch the Game Grumps play Sonic Mania, Aaron's like, I know that guy. He was always
It's a really good animation.
and he was like, oh, I can't believe he made it. He's in this game. And so he's going to continue making these little animated shorts, which I think is really
that's cool. Yeah.
When like people that are fans actually make it and start making money off of their fan work and turn it into real work.
Get to like actually make official work for the thing you're a fan of is pretty cool.
And apparently, like it shows with Sonic Mania, it comes out really well. And I don't know. I feel like Sega should definitely give more people chances to.
I mean,
that.
Sega's definitely a company in a position to like, maybe lean on their fan base a little more for stuff.
Yeah,
especially for
It's
Sonic.
Especially how diehard their fans are, So.
Like, there's fan communities breed a lot of talents because people are just like, I want to do this thing that I love or I am a fan of, and they learn how to do it, and they get with Sonic Mania, it's a guy that got like way deep on making Sonic fan games and porting them, so like he understands what a Sonic game is, and he made a good one, like the first primarily 2D Sonic game in years.
Yes.
So speaking of fans and fan communities and games that do well with good communities, that brings us to PC games, the segment where we talk about things
that brings us to the games, the game that fans love, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yes. So
much beloved.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 recently announced that they're going to completely change their loot box system. It turns out charging people to pull slots is unpopular. Who knew? It worked for other people before them, but EA is evil, comes off that way. And
so like it's super weird because they announced that they were like indefinitely suspending real money sales of the loot boxes. Which, like immediately upon the release of the game, like literally day one, you're turning off microtransactions, only use the in-game currency. Main problem with this is that the loot boxes were still the main driver of progression. So like you play matches, you got credits, you spent those credits to open loot boxes, which then contained cards, random selection of cards that you then use. And
But
it's a thing.
The sense of pride and accomplishment.
Like the whole thing.
Yes. Oh my god, I forgot all about that.
And like part of it is just like the internet getting into fury because EA could literally send everybody money and somebody would find a way to complain about it because EA has that reputation, although they haven't really been that bad for years.
Yeah.
And like Battlefront 2, in spite of the problems, I think was a pretty good game. I'm currently trying to look at how long I've played it for Origin, but I've apparently need to update, so it's sitting here on an installing screen forever, so I can't do that.
Yep.
So like
the community will ever pick back up with especially.
So like the community with this game is weird because there's much like with the first game, there's a very large portion of the community that's just like, oh fuck this game.
Right.
That like in the first game being a very shallow kind of compact experience, just sort of like ran out of steam, and so a lot of people stopped playing it. However, it also sold something like 14 million copies, and like 3 million people were playing it every day for like a year. And it's the same with Battlefront 2, where it's just like, yeah, a lot of the community that you hear from is unhappy with the game, but the vast majority of the community just is not the demographic that engages with online discussion ever. So you never hear about them, and like you can still very easily play Battlefront 2, and there are lots of people still playing it on all the platforms. And so I think it's one of those things where the community is still going to find a way to be real salty about the game, because despite the changes being positive and like what people were like campaigning for, it's like, well, why weren't you saying anything about this like 3 months ago when you said you were going to have lots of communication with the community about the changes that are coming, and like here you come 3 months late with an announcement of a further announcement.
Right. It's weird because at this point, you'd almost think they would try to recoup costs and double down in some bad negative way. But, I don't know if this is the news that's going to bring people back into the game. And I don't know. They must have taken enough of a PR hit from.
I think so, but like it also
forced them to do this.
It also like still sold like a ridiculous like 9 million copies or something, which is like less than they expected in their earnings call, but like also like not that far outside of their projected sales range.
Right.
It's like,
well, it's
EA's gonna EA, and like this, they just have the money to make a game. Clearly, if they wanted to give up on it, they just would never say anything about it ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Here they are announcing like a whole progression, just a whole we're gonna gut this entire system and put in a new one. And you don't do that to a game unless you want it to be successful.
Well,
despite
it's interesting.
Anything,
Too, wasn't Disney really upset at one point?
So that was the scuttlebutt that there was a thing that the internet kicked up about EA's losing the Star Wars license, they're giving it to Ubisoft, and I don't think maybe there was an internal discussion between Disney and EA about the state of fan reception.
Right.
But then EA's just the game sold 9 million copies. What to do?
Right.
We're gonna fix the game. We're gonna address complaints, but the license is making you money. Therefore, we're gonna keep making games with it.
Got all that bad PR, but it still sold like crazy. So
yeah, like EA stock took a 1 week dip, and now it's up
higher
12
than it was before.
Yeah,
so
but I still wonder if Disney, because Disney's very PR focused, and so I wonder if this was still part of their pressure.
I imagine a lot of it was EA passing along player retention metrics and saying of X number of sales, we're still getting 40% playthrough or whatever daily.
I'm sure they got their stern talking to, and then they're just.
Oh, I'm sure, and I'm sure there was a back and forth discussion about look, we know it looks bad, but if you look at our metrics of how people are playing the game and continuing to play the game and hours played and whatever, it's a very positive for the people that like the game, and it's a very large number of people. And now that Origin's updated, I can say I've put in 56 hours to Battlefront 2. Yeah, I haven't played it in the year 2018 because there's been a lot of games that have come out since last December, but it's a pretty fun game. It fixed a lot of the shallowness of the first game.
Very cool. I have not tried it. With me, multiplayer games just need other people to play with, and I don't know. Sometimes people aren't there.
Not that the game is without its problems, many of which are DICE, for the love of God, learn how to balance a map.
Oh, jeez.
You've had this problem for 20 years. You haven't made a good map since Battlefield 2.
Since Karkand in Battlefield 2.
Yeah, most of my real problems with the game, the progression system, the problems with it existed. Loot boxes kind of suck, but all the stuff you got from loot boxes didn't really matter. Because the things you were really after wasn't the cards, it was the parts that let you craft the cards you actually want. So you opened the cheapest box literally just hunting for duplicates so you can get more parts.
But
most of that progression stuff was just whatever, because the default stuff, the stuff that actually matters, the guns you unlock by playing the star cards are oh, my grenade is 2 meters of extra fall off radiance so I can do 2 damage to a dude. Most of the stuff didn't seem like it mattered. It was just really bad PR. Just awful PR. And that can't be overstated.
See, but I still have the big issue with this game, and I've had it since the original first Battlefront way back when, or whenever they had. I think they had the heroes in the first one. Anyways, the whole hero mechanic.
Yeah.
The whole hero mechanic. It's if you load into the game, everybody just wants to be the hero. And if you're not, then you're dead.
Right.
I mean, in this game, at least, it's the teams are large enough that generally outside of a choke point, of which this being a DICE game, there are lots of choke points that you have to attack through. The heroes are powerful, but a lot of them are just you die immediately if you're bad at it. And you only get the hero. Unlike the first game, it's not a disc power up. It's not quad damage and Quake just floating on the map. You have to actually earn it with score.
Right.
And like most of the time you just like die, and like there's a pretty fun hero versus hero mode. It's like a 4v4
That's interesting.
hero versus villains mode, where like the game will like pick a target on each team that you then have to defend while attacking the other guy's hero, and like that has a really weird metagame. That's like
So like Star Wars Smite.
sort of in a weird way, yeah. And it all takes like one section of the multiplayer maps. It's pretty cool.
That's funny.
Palpatine's real fun because he has the twirl dodge.
Yep.
His dodge is the friggin' meme spin from the third Star Wars.
Oh my god. So speaking of community games, new community game that I think is interesting, and I've been following it for a very long time, but I missed the beta, is Sea of Thieves, which I think is going to be the next community thing. I think it's going to be a game that people are going to be very excited about. I didn't get to play the beta though, so the other two people here did. So
Boy,
It was so much fun. I played it nonstop from Friday morning until it ended basically Saturday at midnight. We got a couple groups together. Had real fun captaining my crew and doing sweet keel haul drifts, dropping that anchor and swinging that ship around.
Like the sailing in that game is so
Top
good.
notch. I've played
Oh my god.
played some pirate games in my day, and the sailing in this one just feels real good.
That's awesome.
It reminds me a lot of kind of like when we were playing Guns of Icarus.
Yes.
That's what it looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
Except that like instead of just flying in elevation,
Right.
you need to like raise the sails because the wind here is terrible, and we need to like turn, and we can't turn as fast because we're in the wind because all the sails are
Right.
up. So raise the sails. You got to adjust the sails to catch the wind the best. If you want to do a sick drift, you got to have somebody drop the anchor and like time the turn. Man, it's really good.
if you want to sail the big ship effectively, you need all 4 people to actually be trying, because there are 3 sails and they each have height you can adjust, which is speed, and then you can adjust the angle so you can catch the wind to get more or less speed, and then you obviously have somebody who's steering.
Right.
So it can get pretty crazy, pretty fun.
And because
awesome.
it's an old galleon, the guy that's steering the galleon can't see shit because
Oh,
all the
yes.
sails are in the way. So you have to have other people like, okay, am I going the right way? Am I pointed at a rock? Like you have to tell me because I actually cannot see.
That was
Protocol
very much like Guns of Icarus in some
Yeah.
ships.
Mm-hmm.
When we're pulling into a dock, the protocol is to bring all the front 2 sails up so that I can actually see where I'm going, and we just use the
Yep.
back sail to steer.
Like as a pirate sandbox, like sailing around with friends is super fun. Even if it's just like we're just going home and there's no problems.
Right.
Like we're just sailing. I'm just sitting up in the crow's nest because like we got the sails set. The game is beautiful. The water's amazing. The cloud,
Yeah,
the
the graphics,
skybox is
like-
awesome.
On the stormy water, I was like,
Oh my
"Ooh,
God.
crap, that looks awesome."
Night breaks out and you got a big beautiful aurora in the sky. It's amazing to just like sit in the crow's nest and just like rock with the waves and like watch.
Yeah.
And that game
My main problem with the game, as like I was playing with Digi and Low Sounds for like 4 or 5 hours on like the Friday night the beta launched. Main problem with the game, it seems like it's gonna have a No Man's Sky problem of like you're gonna see the breadth of the content very quickly.
Right.
You see the 3 main mission types very quickly.
Yeah.
And if you're not into running those same missions over and over without much variation, without much actual like vertical progression, it's all horizontal cosmetic progression,
Right.
you're gonna have a bad time with Sea of Thieves. If you like if you like the basic game flow, you're gonna love this game, and lots of people are gonna love it. But for me personally, there's just not enough to the gameplay loop.
I'm just really disappointed because I was sailing around, I was playing for a little while with my nephew, and we found an island that wasn't on the map, but it existed in the real world. And I was like, oh shit, it's gotta be like something cool on here. So we parked and jumped off, and I was looking around, and it was like a donut-shaped island with a little cove in the middle. So I jumped into the cove, and there's a sunken ship down there. I was like, all right, this is like, I'm getting the real
That sounds
exploration
cool.
vibe. And then I saw a cave. So I went to an underwater cave, went down, came back up
Oh my
into
God.
an air pocket, and there was just like some fake chests and tables and shit in there.
Yeah.
But then there was, as cool as the exploration was, no content to back it up. So I was really,
Yeah.
really
A
disappointed.
lot of those islands, I don't know if it was just a beta problem or not, but a lot of those
I think
islands
that's a
were just
beta
empty.
thing. That sounds very beta-y, where it's like something will go here someday, but it's not there now.
It leaves a super weird impression because a lot of these islands, the only enemy you're ever going to fight are skeletons, and the skeletons literally just walk at you.
I thought you fought other players. How does that?
Well, you
work?
can. So
PvP?
yeah, the PvP is like, I think like it's instanced in a way that there's like up to 6 ships or 24 players, whichever comes first in a server.
Okay.
And the map is gigantic. And like on the Friday night I was playing with Digi and Low Sound, we had a real problem of just like when we first loaded in, we're like trying to get the fucking Windows Xbox party system to work on PC, which was kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Because if you have Windows 10 notifications turned off, you'll just never see that you got a party invite.
Oh. Yeah, I never have those on.
Yeah, so it's real weird to get a game invite in the notification tray. But
yeah.
we saw a ship that was like parked on an island. We did like a sick drive-by, but then once we got the party together, we had to like, quit and reform. We didn't see a single other ship in like the 4 or 5 hours we played until the very end, and we saw 2 sloops that were just off in the distance, and we're in the galleon, so we're never going to catch them, and they like stayed away from us because we're a ship of 4 people and they're a ship of like 2.
Right.
So like, maybe it was just a beta like population limit to keep the servers from burning to the ground.
Yeah.
But like, if the limit going into the full game is 6 ships or 24 players, whichever comes first, you're gonna not run into a lot of players unless you really look for them. Like camp out around like populated islands where you have to turn in stuff.
I was saying, unless you do what we did when we got bored at the end of the beta and we're like, there's all this just cosmetic progression. What's the point? Let's just go hunt down some people. And then we just went on a murder mission and we ran into everybody on the server.
Yeah, it seems like the ship combat seems really cool because much like Guns of Icarus, it's 2 crews of people crewing like a thing.
That's the most exciting part.
That's really cool. But like the main like the melee combat, the shooting is bad. It's super simple.
Yeah.
And like the like meta or whatever that I discovered through streams is just like jumping around with the blunderbuss shotgun, just one-shotting people. Then you get on their ship. And when you die, you get into like this really cool respawn room, which is like a ghost pirate ship. And you wait for a bit to like go through and respawn back onto your ship. The problem is you can just like grief people and just like spawn camp them.
Yeah, if you don't sink the ship, you respawn on
They'll
your
just
ship
keep
and they just
spawning
wait for
back
you.
onto the ship. So you can just camp people forever, which seems kind of shitty. But like
So
apparently
they'll
that's
probably
something
add
they're
a
going to change.
What game is it? There's a system where you can like walk around, not WoW, but I mean it's like the WoW system where you walk around as a ghost and then you spawn anywhere on your ship. That way you can see who's on your ship and then spawn somewhere good.
I mean, that would be nice.
Because something like that would probably.
I think it's definitely something I saw that like the developers are aware of and they're gonna change. Like you can, like if you die too much on your ship, you'll just like the ship will just auto sink and you'll respawn on the island or whatever.
Right.
But like it's my main thing of just like, well, you can go engage in PvP, but like since the only thing you're losing potential gold and like treasure chests or whatever, and the only thing gold gets you is like my hurdy-gurdy music box is now gold and brown instead of like broken.
Do you think they'll add more ships and stuff through that?
I hope so, because there's only 2 ships. That seems weird. You can't upgrade. You can't do anything to the ships other than like different sail patterns and like mass decorations and stuff.
Content light for launch, at least.
Yeah, it's weird because it seems like a game. Yeah, it seems like a game that like they're selling it on potential.
Yeah. Maybe
And
they're guarding themselves against streams. Maybe that's like the new tactic.
Like
where,
maybe
you don't announce too much on beta because then it's all streamed away. And
like
go,
maybe,
oh,
but like
wow, that's the whole game. I don't
like
have
from
to
what
buy it. I'll
they've
just watch the streamer play it.
what they've announced, it's like in launch there's like another faction offering missions, different mission type, and a kraken that's just gonna roam around the map and like gank ships on its own.
That looked really cool.
And then like people like data mined like a third enemy faction, or like a second, I guess, besides skeletons, which is like mer people.
Yeah.
So I guess like if you're sailing around, you'll have like a threat that isn't the kraken to fight. But
It
like
just
again, it just seems like
Yeah.
their whole thing is they don't want vertical progression because they don't want you to feel like as a player you have to play every day in order to keep up.
Right.
They don't want you spawning into a game like 2 weeks later, a month after the game came out, or after not playing it for a month,
Right.
and have you just like never be able to win a fight ever. They went with horizontal cosmetic progression. But like, why can't I like, hey, maybe I don't want 4 guns aside in my galleon. Why can't I have 3 guns aside and have 1 gun fore, 1 gun aft?
Yeah.
Why can't I upgrade and like buy a different ammo type that like uses the same stock, like chain shot or grape shot. Why can't I have a rowboat on my galleon so we don't have to like swim to an island or like shoot ourselves out of the cannon, which is really fun,
great.
but like still.
Do you die in open water, or how does that work?
Oh yeah, sharks. Sharks will.
So they just spawn. The sharks.
Yeah, sharks will spawn if you're swimming.
I see.
And like
you can't fight them off; they just eat you.
Yeah, it's a game that's like, you know, Sid Meier's Pirates came out. The first version came out in like 1996 or something, and nobody's made a better pirate game since.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
like, what do you like? All the pieces are here. Rare just has to be able to say like, okay, let's go for it. And right now, it's a really good sandbox. But unless you're really into playing with that sandbox, there's not a lot of stuff to do in it.
Yes, it's like an excellent framework. They just need to fill it out with content, and I don't think it's worth the money at $60 at launch.
Yeah, I feel like if it was coming out as like a $20 early access game, I'd be all over it.
Right.
But like right now, it's like, well, I hope Game Pass works on PC because I totally would use my 2-week free trial on Sea of Thieves.
That's an interesting thing that you mentioned too, that it's not going the early access route.
No, it's like
one of the only games not to be doing that nowadays.
Like content-wise, they're putting this out as a full $60 finish release, like whatever that means in 2018.
Yeah.
But like content-wise, it feels like, hey, this is our first early access release. Stuff's coming.
Huh. Well, it seems interesting. I look forward to see where it goes. I think it's the kind of game that could grow well. I mean, like you said, it's a lot of potential, and that's more what they're selling. The idea.
Yeah, they're selling it on. They're definitely selling it on like the potential and the make your own fun aspect. And there are a lot of people that are way into the make your own fun type of game with friends. I'm just not one of them.
Lying about what's there.
No. When I compare it to No Man's Skies, I mean in like terms of like,
I get exactly what you mean, but that was the problem. No Man's Sky is that's how
they oversold it on the content.
The publisher did not see it that way, and they were like, "Hey, it's the do whatever you want because the game's an amazing game."
Yeah, like I'm very surprised that like they had a publishing deal with Sony for No Man's Sky, and like Sony let them just sell the game themselves. But.
Quick plug real quick. Old-timey FUN-GINEER Taboshi has a really nice guide on how to play this game up on YouTube. Very well produced. Oh, it's the video I'm showing right now on the stream.
The game is so pretty.
Oh, I didn't realize that was his video. I thought it was a promo thing.
Yeah, he's got like...
this is really well cut together.
How to battle guides on if you're a small ship and you're trying to battle a big ship, or...
Because you're way faster, you're way more maneuverable. I mean, there's less people, you don't have to...
Graphics? That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and like the thing that he's showing here is that like when you're into storms, A, you can't see anything, but also B, your compass stops working, so you don't know what your true heading is because you can't see anything, and the waves come up way over the ship, so like you can't see between either the fog or the waves like 10 feet in front of your ship, so you get lost. And like the waves and the wind change constantly, so you're getting pushed around on and off heading, so you can't tell what your true heading is, and like you can totally just like jump into a storm and jump out and like juke a ship that way. Like it's, again, the potential for this thing is so good, so high. It's, for me at least, it's missing stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's no NPC pirates.
Yeah.
There's no like NPC ship that's sailing around that you can like gank or fight against or whatever. The only enemies are like skeletons that'll occasionally throw on an island. They'll shoot a cannon at your ship. You can just kind of like ignore it.
That would be a really fun semi-vertical instance-based progression where the best ships are just boating around.
And you just sail up to them.
You have to just capture them, and then you have the big ship, and then you can fight other players.
Like I saw on a Reddit comment thread, like this game, if they added like a ship battle royale mode.
Yeah, that's all it's missing.
Like 10 ships, 10 players each, 100 players, 10 ships on a server. You mark ships carrying treasure, and the whole thing is like extracted treasure chest. Amazing.
Last ship standing.
Ship combat seems incredible. I haven't personally experienced any of it. Seems like something that's really great.
Yeah.
If you built a game around that, like I guess that's like kind of what that Ubisoft pirate game is, like a multiplayer version of the Black Flag pirate combat. They announced this like last E3 or something.
That sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah.
That seems cool, but like that's, and like, you know, they've put that ship combat in like every Assassin's Creed since. Like you can, it's real weird in like ancient Egypt, firing volleys of fire out, controlling the ships that way. But like, you know, it's not the same as like crewing a ship.
Right. So moving on to the last community game news project is PUBG is coming to mobile, which is
out
super weird.
It's out in
Probably
Canada, but
something-
not US.
Yeah,
Yes.
Canada weirdly is like one of the like designated test grounds for like apps on iOS. It's like here and like New Zealand, Australia get like the first build for whatever
And
reason.
this was announced almost at the same time.
Like the
like,
day
within
after,
a day after.
the day after Fortnite came
that
out.
Fortnite also came out on preview mode for the mobile.
And like this isn't from like the Battleground devs directly.
No,
it's Tencent,
from Tencent. So
Yeah,
this
the
existed in China
biggest ghost company in the
before
world.
now.
Well-
And they were just like, you know what? It already exists. Just make it live. Push it. We have to get our numbers back. Or something. Because
Doesn't-
Yeah, I don't know.
PUBG is losing numbers to Fortnite very quickly at this rate.
Especially on like Twitch stream metrics, nobody's like done a study of correlation between like player base and stream popularity, but it seems like that's a pretty good correlation to make.
Right.
And like Fortnite has just exploded. Not even like because Drake showed up on a dude's stream.
Oh yeah, that's
Drake and
news this
friends.
week.
Yeah, Drake
That's
and
the
friends
real
showed up
news.
on a Fortnite stream. But like it just exploded. And like a
Right.
couple streamers that I really like watching, shout outs to YouTube all-stars of the Call of Duty era, Sandy Ravage and XCal. Played a lot of H1Z1
Yeah.
for a long time, and it was like I really liked watching that. They switched over to Fortnite because they hated PUBG.
Yeah.
Like they just hated everything about PUBG. So they switched over to Fortnite. So I've been watching a lot of Fortnite, and it looks like a really fun game. I'm not a big fan of Battle Royale, but like the way
I love
Fortnite
the
has
art style.
the way it's
That's, like,
exploded
what I like about
is
it most.
is like fascinating because it
Yeah.
went from a game that like Epic was like publicly in development of for years, and it
Like
was like kind of a
6
running
years or
joke, like
something
is
like that.
Fortnite ever going to come out? You announced this like 7 years ago, showed it at E3. Is it ever coming out? It comes out as this PvE base building horde mode thing. It wasn't very good, from what I understand. Not very lengthy. And then they
Oh,
just
the
kind of
actual
like
thing that came out
yeah,
of it, something,
actual Fortnite.
Yeah.
And then they released this free battle royale mode as just like, hey, PUBG, and like the initial response was like, PUBG's popular. Here's Fortnite. Here's PUBG with building, and it sort of slowly gained ground, and then just all of a sudden, like everybody's playing friggin' Fortnite. It's
Well,
amazing.
It's here's PUBG, but it actually runs good, and then we also put it out on Xbox for free.
Yeah.
Also, the game
oh yeah.
free.
Also, it's and,
And
also
the game is free.
battle royale's free. You don't have to buy base Fortnite to do this. Like that's
Fortnite was first revealed in 2011.
yeah.
So that's
yeah,
how long
7
it was in
years.
development for.
7 years this thing, and it was
Oh my God.
I think Jeff Gersman, Giant Bomb, like on Twitter was just like, we used to get emails for the Bombcast all the time, but like, you think it's actually ever going to come out like years ago? Is it a joke? Like, is it canceled? What happened? Then here it is. It's the biggest game in the world, and it's their side mode.
I really want to know how long Fortnite Battle Royale was in development for. I don't actually know.
Yeah, like,
if
I
they
wonder.
Said it, but it couldn't have been more than like a month or two, which is insane to think. 7 years for this, and then like a month for something 400 times more.
Because I mean, like, it's not like the battle royale genre didn't exist before PUBG. Like, there was H1Z1, which Player Unknown worked on.
Yep.
He made that mode for, was it Daybreak or whatever? Then before that, there
Arma.
was
There's an Arma mod.
Arma. He made the Arma mod, and
Yeah.
sort of DayZ was like kind of the genesis, but also there was other like mass multiplayer deathmatch stuff for Arma before.
Right.
H1Z1 was like the first sort of big, mode. Then
Yeah.
PUBG comes out and it's like all of the numbers. All of the numbers on Steam are PUBG.
Yep.
Here comes Fortnite. It's the hot new thing. Like, it makes me wonder, like, is there going to be in like a month at E3, is there going to be like, hey, here's the new, like, here's Ubisoft or somebody, or like Sony. Here's our first party
Yes.
battle royale game. Suck it.
Ubisoft
Like-
I was
presents.
thinking
Yeah.
Battle Royale is going to be the new roguelike. It's just a genre they tack on to things.
Yeah. Or
And
like,
it's
and like, there's
oh,
plenty of really cool things you can do. Like, this game's huge already on like consoles and PC. Here's mobile versions of it. Like, who cares about how they control or like whatever? Like, the mobile space is gigantic. It's like this huge. It's like the dark web. Nobody in like regular gaming talks about it because you can't quantify just how many people play mobile games only.
Yeah,
right?
It's a lot.
And like was it like PUBG or like Fortnite? One of the two is like the #1 iOS app, like not even game, like app right now on the App Store. It's gigantic, and it's not even people that would like regularly play it.
Well, you have to remember, and this is a misconception, is that a lot of mobile gamers are core gamers. They're actually
That's true.
both. And
That's
so
absolutely
it's
true.
probably just being played by core gamers that have played it before.
It's just
and
like
were hey, I can play it on mobile too. And
yeah, it's like that aspect of it is super crazy. That it's like because like the mobile audience is gigantic, especially outside of North America, where like people just don't have PCs, especially.
Right.
Like Europe, a lot of people, the PC market isn't as big in Europe. Right. Southeast Asia, forget about it. PC market is like non-existent. Yeah, net cafes is it. And like there's a lot of space you can explore. Like I talked about, like maybe you make a battle royale mode for Sea of Thieves, right? Like a focused multiplayer mode, not even necessarily battle royale. Sea of Thieves already has like a built-in gas mechanic with the storms; those damage your ships anyway. And like H1Z1 has auto royale, which is Mad Max battle royale.
I mean, that's a fun little twist on the genre. Going back to the Nintendo Direct for the Smash Brothers reveal, when I first saw they were doing Splatoon stuff again, I was like, ooh, I think it's a Splatoon battle royale.
Mass multiplayer Splatoon,
Smash Brother battle royale.
So like as just like a genre, as a framework to build with, it's a super interesting thing, and I think we're only just hitting the surface with it. And like these mobile ports, I think show that like was it like Aeon of Strife or whatever on mobile? It's like a huge MOBA, like, super popular, and like nobody, you like who do you know that's playing Aeon of Strife? I certainly don't know anybody, but it's a huge game, and like somebody's gonna make a mobile only battle royale. It's gonna be gigantic. Somebody's gonna make a very polished version. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. But like as a framework, it's super interesting, and like these mobile ports are cool. I'd like to try it, but like I have the first generation of iPad where they dropped the numbering scheme. So my iPad's too old. I can't play it.
Yeah. So
but like it's and also like just from a tech perspective, it's crazy they fit the game onto a mobile device. Like I know the Switch is a mobile chipset.
Yeah.
But like the fact that they can get this thing to work because it barely works on PCs and Xboxes, the fact that it like works on a phone is nuts, or an iPad or whatever.
It's pretty crazy, yeah.
Yeah. It's cool.
Last few things about PC news that I think is fascinating, that kind of sort of speaks for itself, is Valve announced that they're going to be making their own games again.
Yep.
What this means is they're probably going to be making VR games, since that's what they've been spending all of their time in development with for the past.
Although I'm sure, don't count out like some guy having a smaller project. That's not
true.
VR.
I mean, that's always true. Yeah. So Gabe Newell came out with this quote that I read from an article on Polygon where he says, "We've always been a little bit jealous of companies like Nintendo. When Miyamoto is sitting down and thinking about the next version of Zelda or Mario, he's thinking, what is the controller going to look like? What sort of graphics and other capabilities? And he can introduce new capabilities like motion input because he controls both of those things. And he can make the hardware look as good because he's designing the software at the same time. That's really going to take advantage of it." So that is something we've been jealous of, and that's something you'll see us taking advantage of subsequently. The only hardware they have is the HTC Vive.
Well, sort of, but
the Steam controller, which I don't know if that has any development towards.
I think like the Steam control, well, Steam boxes, I don't think like exist as a thing. I think that's been like very quietly not continued in development.
It helped to push the in-home streaming and the big picture mode stuff.
But now they have the Steam Link or whatever. That's kind of what you want it to be. Yeah.
Those are the 4 pieces of hardware they have at all. And they have the Steam OS too.
Yeah. And like the Steam controller, they control manufacturing of. I think the HTC Vive, HTC's making, but like, I think part of this quote. Part of the quote I think is just like part of this is like now Valve can like has the pipeline in place to make their own microprocessors and stuff.
Yeah, they do.
And like I don't know what that means, but it's interesting. And if Valve's making games again, that's exciting. because Valve's made some good games.
My only thing is that I don't buy into VR yet. I know it's like this
Nope.
thing and people are buying into it. I just don't see it as a thing. But I know Gabe Newell said in previous interviews, he doesn't know if it's going to be a thing either.
Yeah, they're just
It's never going to be a thing if someone doesn't take the chance.
Yeah.
So that's why they're putting all their focus onto it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But they're going to go full throttle at it as if it is going to work out regardless.
yeah, because they have the largest digital distribution platform on PC.
They got
and
that Steam
they
money
have
to burn.
They have the luxury of being able to do that, and I think that's super exciting. Let me know when VR is $200.
Yes.
Let me know when I can get a Vive for $200, or like an Oculus Rift that doesn't need like 20 USB 3 ports.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know when there's a VR experience worth playing more than once.
Yes, and also when they're not like glorified arcade games.
And the feature-length
Right.
VR games.
Yeah.
Yeah. An 80-hour VR game.
That's a
what I mean.
whole other discussion we can have about how like most of these VR games are like, arcade games.
Right.
Like, and
Well, we're
arcade
running
games
out of-
yeah.
Running out of time.
Arcade games are fun in the arcade, not fun in the home. There is a pretty cool looking like battle royale game in VR.
Speaking of.
Yeah, speaking of. But
That's
yeah,
funny.
if they're making games, I'm excited.
Yeah, so Valve's making a game. Very cool. And then lastly, we have some just tidbits of the news. This is the news at 11. Brought to you by FUN-GINEERS. Toys R Us everywhere, closing in the
Well,
US. Very
For you
sad.
guys, up here in Canada, fate is to be determined.
Are Toys R Us even good in Canada?
So my most recent experience with Toys R Us was buying, well, two things. One was we needed a gate for the dog to cover a doorway, and no dog gates were large enough, so we went to the baby section of Kids R Us and bought a kid's gate, a child gate, a big long thing.
Mm-hmm.
My only other experience with Toys R Us is when Demon's Souls first came out. Super small print run, and that initial release wasn't available anywhere. I went to a Toys R Us. They had like 12 copies, and I got mine easy.
That's the secret. We'll miss out
That's
on
the
all of
secret.
those games that were only Amiibos too were a big thing through Toys R Us.
Mhm.
I heard.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Toys R Us
Find them anywhere.
Amiibos. Don't get me all mad. Everybody
Yeah,
else,
they're
everywhere
gone.
else, Amiibos are $12. Toys R Us, the only retailer, like, we're gonna sell them for $15.
Yeah, well, you know,
That's why they're out of business. That's what
they're all
get.
they also still stock like 14 different types of Monopoly. So this is where that's why Toys R Us is the way it is now.
Other news is video game makers went to the White House to talk about video games and violence. Surprise! Video games don't cause people to be violent. That's so weird. And,
Surprise! The president thinks otherwise.
Yeah, surprise. And it's really just, people in the game industry thought it was a distraction, and it was, and it worked because no one's talking about it anymore.
Mhm.
And
it's-
people have moved on to the Russian
And
question.
it is very
But-
disappointing though that there was no big union like video game industry like heads of industry coming out and with their own strong statements.
They kind of did.
I mean, sort of, but like, it's one of those things like, the MPAA, the movie industry has like a body that can do that stuff. The video game industry kind of doesn't. It'd
We
be
have the
ESA,
ESA,
but
yeah.
like they don't really do anything.
We also got the IDGA that went out and said something about the ESA. We also had the ESRB come out and say the same thing. because they
Yeah,
were
but like it was
there.
like, it would have been nice to have like one big unified like everybody pushing message, not
That's
separate.
true. Yeah,
And
I think
one
the ESA was the closest thing we were going to get to that.
one fun further thing to further show that Dan Reichert is going to be the end of the world. Him playing Fallout 4 as part of the quick look for Giant Bomb was part of the video played at the White House, which I think.
Oh,
amazing.
really?
Yeah,
That's wicked funny.
it's real.
Did you watch that video, Bernard?
Yeah, it's real
No, I
dumb.
didn't.
It's real bad.
It's
like a
clip,
minute long.
to show all the violence in video games.
It's like a minute long, and it's just like Gibbs just flying everywhere.
I
It's
see.
not
It's
great.
actually in this article I had pulled up.
Yeah, it is.
It's-
That's the one. It's just all the violence in video games. Like,
Dan Reichert was in the White House via this video,
yep, pretty much.
which is
And then so Trump looked at the game makers and was like, "This is violent, isn't it? This is violent." And you're like, "Yeah. What's your point?" I don't know.
and there's a further
Oh my god.
there's a further conversation to have like about how like the counter response was part of like, look at all these fun narrative games, and like, well, that's not really the response. Like, you don't respond to like, our things are too violent. Well, look at about violence? Well, how about, you look at things that are like, hey, violence is used tastefully instead of like violence porn, like mowing down a airport full of civilians,
brought up the airport scene.
I feel like the airport scene is very well in context. They were like, this is a very violent thing.
Yeah, and it gives you the option to skip it.
You can skip it if you want, but like in the story, the whole context was like, this is really messed up.
Yeah, your character is like, and like you can play that airport sequence without even like you can play through it and watch it without even like
just walk
shooting. You can just walk. Yeah. Also, hey, this Fallout 4 is Dan Reichert.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so silly. This game was ridiculous too. Sniper Elite.
Elite, yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculously fun.
I never played it. I just know like it's all about those close-up headshots. Oh man. So, anyways, that happened.
Moving on to lighter news.
Important came out of it, which was dumb. It was a whole waste of time. It was just interesting because it brought up the discussion again. And
discussion you thought was dead and buried.
I still think video games are poorly seen in the larger mainstream media. I think there's this weird media disconnect with modern things like video games and internet culture. And
like the only stuff that only ever gets seen is the big stuff.
Right.
And most of the video game market, most of the video game players aren't necessarily playing the big stuff. You look at how huge the industry is these days. It's like you can find anything you want.
Right. The other news, Burnout brought up. It's very important.
Nick
very
Cage,
important.
Superman.
Oh my god. Finally. The man named his children, his son Kal-El, finally gets to be Superman.
What is he even being Superman in? I don't understand.
Teen Titans Go.
Teen Titans Go to the movies. The Teen Titans feature-length film.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I'm also just going to pull up some of these screen tests
from the first time this was attempted.
Yes.
Oh my god. Like
it just is terrible.
If Nick Cage didn't have a stint of where he worked in good movies, he was Tommy Wiseau before Tommy Wiseau.
You are so right. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like if you took out the gap, the part of his career where he was in good movies and like, won an Oscar for Best Actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And only look at like Dungeons and Dragons 4 direct to DVD or whatever.
This is kind of like
just Tommy Wiseau.
Bizarro Tommy Wiseau if he actually had a career outside of a single movie.
In like actual Hollywood. It's
if only he made his own movie or attempted to make his own movie.
Finance it and everything. He doesn't have the money anymore to finance anything. That's why he's in all these bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He just needs to work.
And our last bit of news, also brought to us by Burnout, was interesting.
Elon Musk gonna save the internet.
Woo! Finally.
Not too long ago in the U.S., the FCC... Was it the FCC? Yeah, the FCC is no longer protecting the internet under Title II, which kind of sucks. So internet companies can now throttle if they want to. Some states are banning against it. But this is some positive news that we will now have satellite internet, right?
Elon Musk is like, hey, guys, I'll just fix it myself because I own like...
picture of Ajit Pai in the article.
Because like I just own every part of the chain of putting satellites into orbit. Mm-hmm. I can just do it myself. See you later.
Yeah. Now that they're refining their Falcon 9 rocket launches, he's just like, hey, well, let's put some internet satellites on them rockets and start making some satellite internet.
Perfect. I like it.
Yep. It's cool.
That way, you can't regulate space.
Yet.
Yes.
Just wait till Trump gets his Space Force.
Oh, I forgot about Space Force. Project Star Wars, back from the 70s.
Unironically mentioned in front of a room full of Marine Force for space because we have an Air Force and an Ocean Force. We need a Space Force.
Did you hear about that part where he lied to Trudeau?
Oh, yeah, of course. Like, are you kidding me? I'm Canadian. It's the only thing in the news.
Oh, is it big in Canada's news?
Oh, of course. Like, everything American is big in Canadian news because we're your little brother. Like, we have to pay attention because, like, our entire economy depends on you guys being functioning.
Well, we've been here for 3 hours. Thank you for joining us.
3 hours, 2 hours.
2 hours. Sorry, 2 hours.
We could have gone for 3 hours, I
We have
think.
been here for 3 hours. The stream's only been running for 2 hours. Thank
been
you for
fun.
joining us. It was definitely fun. I definitely can think of some stuff we could do better in the future. Hopefully, we get some feedback. That'd be exciting too.
Hopefully,
And
get some real
every
artwork.
Friday. Yeah. Hopefully, we can do this every Friday too. I don't know.
Yeah,
what your
it's
guys'
fun.
Fridays are like, but I hope to be able to do this.
And I'm sure some days will be shorter or longer. Like this being the first episode, we don't know what we're doing.
And we'll have more people too that join.
Rotate
randomly.
the chairs in and out.
Those not familiar with the FUN-GINEERS, we are a big group of people. So
I think it'd be fun to get like Digi on here.
Oh yes, that would be fun.
it would be fun. You have to pick the right topics for that one.
Yeah,
Or the
have
wrong
like
topics.
have some rotating chairs.
Make sure Digi doesn't say anything that he doesn't find incriminating later.
Don't get him going about fur affinity.
So that's it. Thank you. That's all I have to say. Any closing statements, Burnout?
Check me out on youtube.com/Burnout the FUN-GINEERS. Check me out on Twitch. You're already on Twitch right now, Burnout54. Check me out on the come hang out in Discord. Be my friend on Steam. Let's play some games. Discount.
Hi, this is fun. As a wise man once said, there's never been a better time to be playing video games. Video games are good. You can watch me play them, twitch.tv/discountllama, twitter.com/discountllama if you want to see me retweet just everything, because I don't tweet on my own, because content's hard.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm not much of a Twitter person, so I don't know. Maybe someday.
Catch me out at...
I retweet good stuff, though. Don't worry.
Check me out on AndroidLabs.net, Android Labs YouTube, Android Labs Twitch. So, all under the Android Labs name. Looking
Unified
forward to
branding,
more
look at you.
games. Made the
Own
domain
website and everything.
12 years ago. So.
I used to own llamapen.com, but I let that lapse.
Oh no. That would have been good.
I'm very disappointed that .llama isn't, or .farm isn't a domain.
Just wait,
You
it
landed
will
at
be.
Brand Llama's development site. Wow.
Like there's like I've been looking like, oh, is discount.llama a domain? Because like .pizza's a domain. Why not .llama? But yet
You missed out. Llama Pen. Good site. All right.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. Hopefully, by the next time we do this, somebody frothy makes us some sweet artwork, and then we'll just have our names underneath us, so you can check us out on
frame.
this will be a little less.
fancy frame. Spoiler: look behind the curtain. I'm screencasting my screen, and you see that sweet background that we have framing our pictures right now is actually just my background, but blown up. You're gonna have to wait a second because Twitch, but.
Yeah, well, you know.
It's my sweet wallpaper from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because I've been playing that game a lot and I really love it.
It's real good. I need to. I don't think I've played it since February. I made the mistake of buying Skyrim on Switch, so
Yeah, I've been switching back and forth between the two.
it's weird. Like I went on vacation. I bought Bayonetta 1 and 2 on the Switch, intending to play those on vacation. Didn't touch them at all. Played Skyrim.
So, anyways, see you guys next time, whenever that is. Hopefully next week.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Internet.